Or maybe
let's
not.
do that. Let's get started then. Let's do. This is a rundown of. I'm thinking what we're going to do. Yeah, absolutely. We'll do it now. This is Nick, by the way. We're all recording now, so Nick from Black Lodge Games is here. Young Steve Buscemi is here to be regaled with the absolute
Indeed.
metalness of Warhammer Fantasy Battles and its setting.
I've long been interested in Warhammer Fantasy.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, it is one of those settings that is absolute metal, but also weirdly one of the coziest settings I've ever been a part of or around. Like, I feel absolutely at home whenever I discuss or I'm around Warhammer Fantasy Battle. As a British person, the old world is our place. It's our thing. More than Lord of the Rings, I would say. Because of how cynical and tongue-in-cheek and funny it can be. Whereas Lord of the Rings is awesome as a mythology, but it takes itself very seriously. Whereas I would say Warhammer, even though it's got a Germanic Empire in it, is actually more... Could you take the mick out of the Germans in it, which is awesome. And who doesn't like to do that?
And who doesn't like that?
Who doesn't like that, right? 2-0, 3-0. What is it? 3-0? 2 World Wars, 1 World Cup?
I mean, they've had a rough streak. They can't catch a break.
No. So why don't we do that then? Why don't we do what your suggestion? Yeah, man. In that you tell me what you know of the old world, and I've got a full script here. We can run down it. We can jump around wherever you want and things like that. I've got pictures we can throw on the screen as well. So yeah, you go for it.
So I know that it's the first big Games Workshop setting. I know that it came out before 40K in the mid-'80s, I think. And all the stuff, or most of the things in 40K are pretty obvious reskinnings of stuff that already existed in Warhammer Fantasy. I believe the orcs are the same orcs, and there's a lot of, I would imagine, purposeful similarities between Fantasy and 40K. I know that there is an empire. It is Holy Roman Empire themed. I know that there are vampires. I do know that they are cool, without knowing anything about them. That has to be the case.
I even as a Skaven hater, I still admit they're cool. So Fantasy Battles came before Warhammer. That's one thing. Warhammer 40K.
Yeah.
That's one thing that you got right, but a lot of people get wrong.
Yeah.
A lot of people seem to think that it's the other way around. The Rogue Trader came after Warhammer Fantasy Battles. Warhammer Fantasy Battles was the first thing made by Citadel Miniatures and Games Workshop together. It's the first thing they did as a joint thing. You have legends like Rick Priestley and other guys like that who started with the setting, and it started as essentially Lord of the Rings, all of the tropes from that. But we need it to be a war game. Lord of the Rings works, but as a war game, people spend a lot of time at peace in Middle-earth. And it doesn't seem that way, because of the books we read, but,
Right.
He lived long and well, with a good tax
policy. Right. That is the...
Yes.
If everything is going well, that's what happens.
Yes, and they wanted something where it is not that way, where people are at war all the time. And
factions and conflict. And I do like that in a setting. Any good setting, I think, should have lots of conflict, because that conflict just means people care about things and stuff is happening.
Yes, exactly. I mean,
and you need that.
One thing for people watching, if the cameras go off, it's because I'm doing other things. I'm just getting my pictures up and things like that. So it just means the OBS is trying to struggle to see where the cameras are. So don't worry about that. It'll happen for a couple of seconds every now and again. I think we should start though at the beginning. Start with how it comes around.
Seems like a reasonable place to start.
It does. Yeah, we can go to the old world and see how it all comes about. So essentially, I need to get something into your brain right now, and that is
all right.
Godlike space toads.
Godlike space toads. Okay.
Yes, that is where we are right now in terms of the original gods of this setting were called the Old Ones, and they came to this world which had two things on it. It had dragons and dragon ogres. If you don't know what dragon ogres are, I will of course, post them on the screen. Do you have the live stream up there, or do you want me to whack on to whack it over to you directly?
No, I got it. I've got it up on the other other
Awesome.
monitor here, so I'll be able to observe.
Awesome. So,
I like dragons and I like ogres, so I would imagine this is...
Yes, we are going to be getting into that right now. So let's do some dragon ogres, shall we? So this is a dragon ogre. He's a big chap. The large dragon ogres are the size of mountains. Later on in the setting, Archeon the Everchosen, who's trying to become the Everchosen of Chaos, he tries to climb a mountain to retrieve a crown, only to realise that the mountain is actually a dragon ogre Shaggoth, which is asleep.
Okay.
These things grow and grow and grow, and if they're around lightning, they just
looks like
going.
Motaro from Mortal Kombat.
Yes. The biggest of them is called Kolek Suneater, who did so many frightful things when the Dragon Ogres fell to chaos in the early days of the world that the sun hides whenever he's around. The sun just goes away. It literally hides behind clouds and stuff. He brings storms with him. Wherever he goes, the sun hides wherever Kolek turns up. These are primordial things going on in the Warhammer world at this point. The old ones bring in a race called the Slan, which are essentially... their leader is one guy, in the modern setting, is one guy called Lord Mazdamundi, which is hilarious. He's literally a wizard toad that's just floating around, just floating around. That's all he does.
Okay.
I don't know how Games Workshop got away
I think
with
I've seen pictures of these in the Total War Warhammer games.
Yes.
Yes. These, like, units.
Yes.
Well, not that guy, presumably. Although maybe he is.
No, he is. He is. Yeah.
Nice.
He's absolutely a unit, yeah. I just killed him as the Norskins, in fact, when I was playing earlier. So yeah, he's a big part of the setting. How Games Workshop got away with this, I don't know, because they use a lot of cultures in Warhammer, and not in the most flattering of ways sometimes. And one of the ways they do
sometimes that's the best way to use them. But yes, it's hard for
a
publicly traded company to get away with it.
Yeah, no one complained. I mean, like, you got... so the Aztecs are basically used as the basis of... if I can describe the lizard men, the Slan, in a few words, it is dinosaur-riding Aztec lizard people. That is what they are. And
I mean, I like it.
Yeah.
And I can't think of any better aesthetic. It's like when you think of lizard man, toad. It's like what? Well, I was gonna say there are other examples of like reptilian people also using a Mesoamerican aesthetic. However, they may just be aping it from Warhammer Fantasy, which is probably the case. Either
I'm not
consciously
sure.
or unconsciously.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they could be, definitely. I'm not sure where the first...
I know that's how they portray, like, the Argonians, I think, in the Elder Scrolls.
Yes, just like most things Elder Scrolls, the Argonians are the, shall I say, the more limp-wristed version of what's already in Warhammer. And, you know, the lizard men in this setting are not to be fucked with, like, at all. They are very, very, very powerful. They are in the modern setting, they tend to stick to themselves because they just look down on everyone else and just getting in the way, you know. But the original lizard men was so powerful that the first big cataclysm that happened to the dwarves when they're building in mountains is the lizard men just going, those mountains don't look very good over there, let's put them over here instead, and they just moved them with the dwarves on the side. So that was the first.
Okay, so this is truly you know, nigh godlike power. That is
long fallen now.
That is,
yes.
Yeah. Which is also a thematic trope. It's not a bad trope necessarily of magic being more ubiquitous and more powerful the further back you go.
The word trope, Nick, will come up a lot with Warhammer.
Okay.
It is a derivative setting, but it is a really good example, and one that should encourage a lot of writers, in that you can use things that have been used everywhere and still make them cool on your own. There are dwarves in this.
Tropes are good.
Yeah, there are dwarves in this, there are elves in this, and they all act like dwarves and elves, but in their Warhammer way. Like, they're very Warhammer-ish. You know what you're looking at when you look at a Warhammer dwarf, you know?
there's a profound misunderstanding these days about what a trope is and what does it mean for creativity or for making a piece of fiction, art, what have you.
Absolutely.
Trope just means something is evocative. In a certain sense, a trope means that thing is truer than not, because it has resonated, it has seemed to fit in a truly organic way. People remember these things, or these things looking like this. There's a certain axis on which any kind of elf-ish thing, whether you call it an elf or you call it an Eldar, or it's a different world, it's not Middle-earth, it's the Forgotten Realms, or it's whatever the case may be. There is a central axis, and people mistakenly believe that to be creative, you have to resentfully buck against the trope. You're bucking against truth, like a true mythic truth, a mythic objectivity. And it's like, no, it's so easy. It's so easy to make something good that people want.
Put dragons in it, dude. I'm sick of people not putting dragons and stuff, because everyone does dragons. Yeah, there's a reason why. They're fucking awesome.
Yeah, because dragons are fucking cool.
It's just cool. And speaking of dragons, dragons are a part of the old world way back. They ruled the world, and chaos is also here. But the old ones are so powerful, they just come in and they just clap the cheeks of the chaos gods and send them packing for a while. Chaos is a primordial thing. It's always been there. And the realm of chaos is this other realm beyond our own, where dreams and emotions run riot, and they've congealed into these chaos gods. Everything goes to shit, as it's supposed to do, because in these, another trope is that obviously the ancient empire falls, and we're left in the dust of what's left behind. The old ones create two gates on the poles of the world to come and go whenever they want, because they are basically a spacefaring race. The Chaos Gods meddle with these and shatter them, basically spreading chaotic magic all over the world. They invade with multitudes of demons. The whole thing goes to shit. Like, the whole thing goes to shit. Most of the old ones are either wiped out or locked away from the world, and the lizard men are left there to contend with them on their own. But the old ones have, by this point, already seeded the other factions. So they've made elves, and they've made dwarves, and they've made ogres, and which we'll get to later because they're the best. They made ogres, and they've made men, and they're all off doing their own thing. They're all very primitive, apart from the elves, who at this point have a wonderful Atlantis-like civilization on something called the Floating Donut, which Ulthuan, which we'll get into a little bit later on. But that is, I think this is a cool place for us to touch on origin stories in fantasy literature and settings, because again, Warhammer's very derivative. It uses a very derivative thing. The old empire's fallen and everything's gone to hell. Oh my god, what's going on? But it does it in its own little metal way, because space toads are very silly, but it somehow works because it's Warhammer. What are your thoughts on how the Warhammer world came to be? Because from here we can sort of see where things are going to congeal, right? We can see the empires rising, the elves over here and dwarves over here, that kind of thing. So what do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. I'm assuming that the way you're talking about the old ones, that they're very similar to the old ones in 40k, and I only know about the old ones in 40k because I watch Northern Exile's videos. I watch your videos, as more people should. They're not put over as in an objective, like, reader or player sense gods. They're some sort of an advanced species, like the Forerunners or the Iconians in Star Trek. So they're a spacefaring race with super sci-fi technology, and they've terraformed and uplifted these primitives. So you have already that that is a big tonal shift from something that would just be a Middle-earth clone,
Yes.
right? We're making a very what's the word I'm looking for? You're making a very assertive, unapologetic statement about the metaphysics of the world, and that has second and third order consequences.
It does. Yeah.
In terms of like what logically and what thematically fits, and of course you're setting up the main conflict, which is going to be normal, people versus chaos, right? That's my guess.
Or not.
Or not.
There are
unless you're a chaos.
Yeah.
I guess they're not heretics, but.
Dude, they are. Every heavy power metal album cover needs a Chaos Lord on the front of it, and I will die on that hill.
Yeah.
We will get to that a little bit later on.
Yes.
So in terms of the races, we know how things came to be. I think it's time to talk about the Chaos Gods first, though. About who they are.
Oh, if I might interject real quick. One thing. So this being so close, thematically and like with the vocabulary and I know there's a lot of one-to-one on the races. Is the I'm hoping this is not the case, that the explicit assumption from a consumer point of view is I don't know what the name of the planet is called. The Warhammer Fantasy planet.
Yeah.
This is not a planet that you can that's on like an Imperium of Man star chart, right? You can't, because I can see a lot of fucking nerds trying to do a whole lot of bullshit fan fiction. That would be the stupidest, most retarded thing.
You have hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
This has been a thing for a while. We will get into Sigmar Heldenhammer later on, the Shaddington that is Sigmar. The amount of people who say that he's a Primarch from 40k who just landed on this planet.
Holy shit, dude.
Drives me fucking insane. Like, it is.
This is so yeah.
It's cringe.
Yeah. I suspected they weren't going to be that stupid, but I was 100% sure that there's going to be a loud group of retards out there who want this to be the case and have no taste.
Sigmar is not a Primarch. Sigmar is motherfucking Sigmar, and he is the greatest. And we will get into him and his abs later on.
I understand there's a thing called Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, I mean that'll be the epilogue tonight. I think when I start crying.
Okay.
About that. Matthew says, surely it's order versus chaos. Well, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Chewie says, Forerunners species I mentioned quite a lot. I mentioned those are humans, my guy. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, humans are cool. Humans are, and by the way,
humans are cool.
Feel free to role play as a human in anything you ever want, and don't let anybody ever tell you you're boring for doing so. Fuck those people. Do whatever you want to do.
I'm a human supremacist.
Me too. The elusive man was correct, and all of these horrid other things that are out there need to either go away or sign up for one of our, our exposés and where they should be working in the human empire that is inevitably on its way.
And by the way, just a brief tangent. I saw you were talking about, with some fervor, about Dragon Age Origins.
Yes.
And that is definitely something I am also passionate about. Mm-hmm. We can talk about another time.
Well, there are similarities between Dragon Age is another setting that does the tropes, but twist them to be its own thing, right? Warhammer and Dragon Age, or at least the old Dragon Age lore, are two things.
Origins was so good.
Yeah, every writer should look at this as how to use elves and dwarves and keep them as elves and dwarves, but make them yours. How to do that. It's so rewarding, it's so cool, and they're tropes for a reason. Dwarves are a part of white people, Nordic mythology, folks. They've been there for a long time.
And if you want to ruin something, the quickest way to ruin it is if you want a crash course, you can follow what they did afterwards. So if you want to sabotage your own shit.
And by the way, they turn up in a lot of other cultures as well. I mean, we use the Nordic ones because they make stuff and they're cool, and we like.
Yes.
Same with dragons. They're a part of every single culture.
Yes.
It's very weird how every single culture on Earth seems to have a dragon stereotype somewhere.
I know.
down there, which I really want to get
Makes
into.
you think.
It does make you think. Let's talk about Chaos Gods, though. Let's talk about the bad guys of the setting. Let's do them one by one. So,
okay.
We know in the realm of chaos, that's where they are. It is a place of dreams and torment and things like that. Kind of like the Warp in 40k, or exactly like the Warp in 40k. And I want to talk about my favourite of the Chaos Gods, and that is the Lord of Skulls, Blood for the Blood God, and all of that good stuff. He's sitting on his throne of skulls inside a citadel of brass, with a million things fighting around him. The thing I love about Khorne is he invites orcs into his realm because he just finds them funny, because they just keep fighting. He just keeps powering them up and sending them up against his own demons. If you can beat a Khorne demon, he laughs.
And he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. No, he's
they are funny.
Crom. He's Crom on cocaine, is what he is.
Nice.
Yeah, he's essentially the barbarian god, taken to the nth degree. One thing I don't like what Games Workshop did is that they made him just evil. The line that the Khorne does not care where the blood flows as long as it does. It means you can go and kill innocent people and things like that, and kill the weak. The old Khorne was not that way at all. The old Khorne was, if you're a bully, you're a little bitch, and you don't get any favour from me. You go out and you find the strongest, meanest bully on the schoolyard, and you headbutt him square in the nose. And you tell him Khorne sent you.
Yeah.
That's Khorne. And that's
that is more in the Crom.
Yes.
Like the Crom angle here, just amplified.
Yes. The rage of revolution, of I'm a little guy, I'm gonna kick you anyway. I'm gonna come at you anyway. That's Khorne. And the cool thing about Khorne used to be when those people took it too far, because the revolutionaries, when they gain control, they always seem to become tyrants and despots, and they always seem to go crazy, right? And there's a really cool thing about Khorne is that once he gets going, it's hard to stop. He's not evil when he starts, but he's hard to stop when he gets going. His rage becomes all-consuming. Nowadays, he's just like a meme. Like most things Games Workshop touches, they reduce it down to it's like, who cares? Kill the babies. It's like, no, dude, come on. That's not what Khorne does, right? It's a throne of skulls. Why would he want baby skulls or children's skulls? Why would he care? No, he wants strong warrior skulls around his throne to show that he's the best. He can do this. That kind of... Yeah, Khorne deadlifts, dude. Let's be honest. Look at that guy, right?
Yeah.
So what do you reckon about Khorne so far? About all the things I've said about him?
I mean, it's very cool. It's interesting you say there's been a degradation of Khorne and the other Chaos Gods as well. We'll get to them. Because of what the what is it called in fantasy? Not the Warp, just Chaos.
It's Realm of Chaos.
The realm,
just the Realm of Chaos.
The Realm of Chaos.
Yeah.
Because I understand it's not hospitable to normal life.
Ooh.
But you're not making the case that this is hell, right?
No.
You've already made that case with the old ones. There's something weirder. This isn't Eru Iluvatar and Morgoth. It isn't God versus Satan or a bunch of Satans.
No.
So these are alien minds and alien powers.
Technically not. Not. No, because they're born of our emotion. So all of the emotion of rage and anger that's around the place, it congeals in the realm of chaos and becomes Khorne. Khorne's the oldest, because rage and anger and fury and violence is the oldest thing we have. But
surely something like that would be the scope of it, the scale of it, the power of it would. It comes from, eons of a million billion different species fighting and being angry and dying. But that's not. It's not.
I get what you're trying to say.
It's not sadism per se.
I
like what you were saying at the beginning. it's more like Crom on his mountain, but amplified, but turned up to 11. So it's not strictly good or evil. It is pure emotionality.
Yes.
Right.
There is no
and
reason there. It is.
Yeah.
Distilled.
So that would be I would hate to see, and obviously, like, look at this guy. Look at this. This picture.
Mm-hmm.
I could see a guy like this, a character like this, become the devil with his pitchfork and his horns. You see this with in a different way, but you see this with how devils and demons are in other dog shit D&D settings. You have Asmodeus or Mammon or what have you, and it's a caricature, and in D&D's case, they're neutered caricatures. At least in 40K, they're not completely neutered. It seems.
No, they're not.
They just have one testicle left as they're caricaturized.
We'll get to Slaanesh in a minute with the testicle stuff, but yeah, it is that they are all powerful. Like, these guys are so beyond us, and some of the best writing Games Workshop have done has been describing where they live in the realm of chaos, and mortals have gone there because the chaos gods just find us funny. Sometimes a mortal will find their way in and just walk around and just be sent back as one of their prophets or something like that, just because they just find it funny.
Yeah.
Again, Khorne's been kind of ruined, but it is what it is.
I mean, something else which is interesting, and going back to, I don't want to say neutral, but you know what I mean. It's like, Warhammer does not seem, even though there's a bunch of different things, a bunch of different characters with different morality, it doesn't feel like a wishy-washy setting, at least if it's done right. It doesn't feel like a wishy-washy setting. And, retribution is an objective moral good.
Yes.
And you need that to, especially in a world with all these fucking monsters out there.
It's a good point, and
so,
it is made. It's made by Chaos Champions. Yeah. They say it all the time. It's like, all right, my god is the god of murder, yeah, but he's also the god of revolution. He's also the god of protecting your family. He's also the god of you need Khorne. Without Khorne, you're just lying on the floor,
just lay down and take it,
waiting to die. Like, that's my god, and that's my god as well. It's because fuck all those people, and they should. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway,
Weaklings, get out. Pencil necks, get out.
CM Punk is not a Khorne follower. We went over that before we came.
Yes.
Fuck that.
However, Eric Bugenhagen is. Everybody should watch his YouTube channel.
Yeah. So Crom laughs at the Four Winds, right? Well, speaking of the Four Winds. Let's talk about Tzeentch for a while. Let's talk about Tzeentch. This is a 40k version of Tzeentch, but they are the same guy, technically.
Okay.
So Tzeentch is the god of plots and magic, and sneakiness, and generally being a bit of a prick. He likes to troll. He is a plots within weaves within plots within weaves, and lying and cults are his huge thing. Tzeentch loves a good cult. And essentially, imagine Hermaeus Mora and Dagon combined and turn the metal up to 11. That's what we have with Tzeentch. This is who he is. All magic derives in some way. Some part of it is a part of Tzeentch. There's no getting away from it. Even good mages need to be very careful when using magic in the Warhammer setting, because it is wild. It is attached to this god, and he will whisper to you through it. He will try to get you to turn, to give in, to accept more of his power as he tries to give it to you, and it is a very strong thing. The winds of magic in the Warhammer setting are real things, and they come in different colours and different. We got the Camon, which is the wind of, I think it's metal or gold. The one very cool guy called Balthazar Geld he just trolls people by paying for stuff in gold he's just made himself. Just like shit like that.
Nice.
And So all magic is a part of Tzeentch, but it doesn't come from him, right? He is the Lord of Plots, the Lord of Mages, the Lord of the people who have a staff in their hand. All of them will be somehow touched by Tzeentch, even if they're good. Even if they're good. A lot of the times Games Workshop tries to tread lightly on what the Chaos Gods can and can't do, but I refuse to believe in a setting where magic is so prevalent. Tzeentch doesn't have a hand in all of those pies, right? He is one of the most treacherous of the Chaos Gods in that he will love you but then he'll just think, you know what? It's time for you to be a Chaos Spawn. It's time for you to just devolve into a massive limbs because it's Tuesday and that would make me happy. It'd make me laugh. And there you go. And there's no rhyme or reason to what Tzeentch does. Only Tzeentch knows Tzeentch's plans. And he's not the god I would follow. And he's one of those gods where I'm like, if you want to be a really powerful mage, I get why you're following him. But also, it's a ticking time bomb before he's like, where's my next toy? Yeah. And he puts you down, and that's the end of you, So
this guy, obviously, there's a thing that's being played on here. I'm not liking this guy as much as Khorne, especially given what you've told me about what chaos is and what the realm or realms of chaos are. If it is the case that more or less anything discernible that awakens or coagulates in the realm of chaos is some kind of a congealed concentration of emotional resonance.
Yes.
I don't know where this guy comes from. This guy seems to me, let's just have Lovecraft shit in our world.
Not unfair.
And I understand Lovecraft is cool. The mythos is cool. But this guy just seems like some interdimensional thing. That doesn't really seem like the same. I hate to talk about it in these materialist terms, but
you're not
the
wrong.
same species of creature as Khorne. I know that Slaanesh is
No, we'll get into that in a minute. Yeah.
Sensation or what have you.
Yeah.
I can at least understand that, even if, like I was saying, anger, retribution, these feelings of rage and violence can make something which is alien and beyond the scope of mortal understanding. But thematically, I get it. I can understand that. I understand how it all fits together. I don't know what kind of thing, unless this guy represents in a thematic way a kind of fear of the unknown or some kind of absence of knowledge, like ignorance as such.
Absolutely. That's how he gets you. There's somebody in the chat who made put up a brilliant point, a man after my own heart called Grasping for Gingers, who says, Tzeentch actually hates the idea of being praised. He wants you to go on and do your own thing, seek your own knowledge, and that kind of a thing. And I like that. But also, the way that Tzeentch gets you is exactly what you just said there. It's the fear of the unknown, of wanting to have things explained to you. Those are the kinds of minds Tzeentch gets, because he can give you just enough answers to keep you wanting more, and string you along, until you're in too deep with him, and that's it. You want more power because you want more knowledge and more things. That's how Tzeentch gets you, essentially.
All right, I can get behind that. That makes more sense. Okay.
All
right. Yeah, this is a if you're playing, of course, I'm coming at this from a role-playing perspective, and an immersion perspective. This is not a 101 level roleplay guy being a cultist or a follower of Tzeentch. This is You're definitely gonna have to flex some role play muscles, but that's good. It's not quite as simple as Korn or your average dwarf or whatever. If you're doing the average dwarf thing.
Speaking of simple,
Mm-hmm.
let's do some nurgling. Because
Yes.
a nurgle is at one stage comes across as simple, but he is deceptively quite in depth. In that everyone looks at the disease and they say he's the god of disease and pestilence and all that. He's actually not. He's the god of the cycle. He's the god of life and death. He's the god of the journey and the being joyous in all that life gives in more ways than one. With the decay, the entropy, all of that kind of stuff is inherent in Nurgle. That's what he's there for. Disease is just a byproduct of what he is. He doesn't. He's called the Plague Father. He invents diseases. He invents all of these things. But they're just a means to an end. He wants you to experience your flesh breaking down. So it's literally like you're feeling entropy. You're feeling the fact that your life is slipping away. And if you praise him enough, he will make sure it doesn't hurt anymore. That's just what he'll do. He'll just make sure it doesn't hurt and you're okay. And you can live for as long as you have your faith in him. Problem is, Nurgle is known as being a bit of a, shall we say, one of the most human of the Chaos Gods. That's why he's called Grandfather Nurgle. If you piss him off or like you stop worshipping him, he just takes away that protection, and you feel decades or hundreds of years of syphilis and whatever it is that you've got else going on in your body, and it is not
cosmic
fun.
Syphilis.
Yes. But he is a loving god. He is one of the only Chaos Gods that actively loves you. He's not in a way, he's evil by his actions, but not his intentions. His intentions are to have all of his children partake in his gifts of pestilence and disease, and living forever as happy people who are in between the stasis of life and death. There's no point in trying. Just chill out, sit down, be fat like me, right? All of those dudes, this guy would be on Ozempic. He'd be one of those dudes who just he says, oh, it's okay to be fat until it's a shortcut, then he doesn't want to be fat anymore. That kind of until the hard work's
which is
taken out,
everybody.
Which is everybody, apart from I've said that to a few people now, but Nurgle will be one of those guys who says, just sit there and be fat, it's fine, who cares? It's all good, man, don't worry
Biggest
about it.
cope ever, yeah.
Yes. But at the same time, he is also one of the only lovable Chaos Gods, because he loves you back. He loves you back, and he wants you to just... all of his demons are very happy demons. I mean, they're very killy demons, of course. But they're generally happy dudes. They just walk around laughing and slapping things and farting and belching and shitting all over them till they're dead. And it just, that's where we are with Nurgle.
So there I was, shitting and pissing. And
it's actually an animation in Warhammer 3. Like, his demons, if they're large enough, will just take down their pants and shit all over your units and, melt them. So, it's just, it's one of them things, yeah.
So I'll say this: this guy's philosophy and what he represents, I personally find the most contemptible and
it's
the most evil.
Horror. Yeah, it's horrible.
It is. Yeah. And it somehow makes it even more insidious about having a guy with some charm be like the main character. Because say what you will about a big fat guy has character, right? Everybody loves Norm in Cheers. It's just some unexplainable phenomenon that exists. I really, despite myself, I kind of really don't like this guy. I like the color scheme. You don't usually get a lot of yellows and greens. It's a cool, underutilized color scheme this guy has. There is something grug-brained in a charming way about it just is what it is. simple as.
It's stoner logic.
You
man.
know,
Yeah.
I got no troubles. There's something that seems very orc-like in it too.
If Hakuna Matata is evil,
yeah,
it's Nurgle, right?
This guy.
Like, I mean,
yeah.
and by the way, his knights are fucking awesome. They look amazing. They're just these like decrepit dudes on horses that look like they're suffering. Like they're just literally like they're too big for the horse. You know, they're just sitting there, and the horse is nearly buckling, and the horse has got like pustules coming off of its face and stuff. It's so good. Like Games Workshop work out some issues when they make Nurgle models. They whoever that guy is in the Games Workshop studio is he's a sick man, and he's speaking of sickness though, and being sick.
Yes.
I did have one picture of Slaanesh, but I don't think I can use it. But I will use
well, that would
this one instead. So I will freely admit that Slaanesh is cooler in 40k.
Okay, interesting.
Simply because the birth of Slaanesh was linked to the downfall of the Eldar and that. So.
Because of the backstory. Okay.
Yes. So the Eldar are basically murder fucking themselves into oblivion because they've got nothing else to do. They're essentially an ascended race who can literally just do no wrong, and they are so depraved that they give birth to the next Chaos God in Slaanesh, the young prince, and her or his or their birth scream absorbs all of their souls and eats them.
Right.
You know, and tears the heart out of their empire. And now the only Eldar that are around are the stoic, boring ones who were on their craft worlds, who left because they're Puritans. Basically, they left England.
Yeah.
Because everyone was murder fucking too much.
What a hellish existence! Imagine having to read Marcus Aurelius to
exactly. Yeah, you read meditations every day, or you're dead. So that's Slaanesh in 40k. In fantasy, I'm going to call her she, right? Not as in depth. Involved in the elves' downfall as she is in 40k. In fact, the elves, the Dark Elves at least, like Slaanesh a lot. Because the Dark Elves like a bit of pain and torture. And they are, in terms of unequivocally evil, I don't think you can get more than the Dark Elves. They're so evil, it's funny. It just becomes funny. They just skin you for a laugh, because it's just like, I mean, why not? I need something for my sails on my ship. Why would I not do that? Yeah. I know I have cloth. Shut up. Right? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's not. It's about sending a message.
Yes. No, it isn't. It really isn't. I'm just a dark elf. I like the way the flap sounds in the wind when I do it. It's fine. Slaanesh is the goddess of, or god, or whatever, of, how would I put it? Sex is a thing, yes. Passion, lust, gluttony, pleasure, but also pain. Any extreme that you can come across in your life is Slaanesh. You don't know you're worshipping Slaanesh. She's probably most insidious of the gods, right? Let's just say that you know, you are on drugs and you go and you have some sort of shisha or whatever in Warhammer world. You're like, oh, that was nice, you know, that's cool. And you're worshipping Slaanesh in your own little way. You don't even realize it. And then after a few years of that, you start huffing it straight into your nose because, you know, you need it, you know, that kind of thing. And then eventually you go into harder and harder stuff, you know. And then 20 years later, you're in a coven sacrificing a baby and tearing it in half because you want to drink its entrails because, you know, that's the only way you can get off now, right? That's Slaanesh. That's
you're like
you know,
you're like Randy Marsh.
Yes, absolutely.
So would it be fair to say that Slaanesh kind of is born of like sensation as such?
Yeah, I would say sensation that is extreme. So
yeah, it's extreme enough to.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that is interesting because that's not something. What's cool about that is, if you were going to try and I'm not going to offer any prayers to Slaanesh. It really is materially impossible to do that. like for sure, right? Because what your body and your mind experience in that way, that's out of your control. These are like the conditions of physical existence make it such that, in a way, whether you offer a prayer to Slaanesh or not at some point in your life is completely contingent and completely outside of your control. If you happen to be in a house fire, so it's even more like insidious in that way.
People with addictive personalities basically are Slaanesh bound. That's it. You're done. Like you can for
sure. Yeah, certainly. If you are going.
Yeah.
If you're some sort of addict of any kind, definitely, whether you know it or not, you are.
Yes.
But you're actively, or in a more active way, making that choice. But the family who doesn't know anything about, Slaanesh or good people, something. Things happen to people. Good things, bad things. You got a nice. The old lady down the road baked a pie, and it tasted really good. And then later that day, your house caught on fire and your baby died.
Yeah.
And it's not anything anybody chose. I just because I have a tongue in my mouth, I did taste the pie, and that's a small prayer. And then this horrific tragedy, my baby died in a house fire. And by the way, in its last act, gave this tremendous prayer to Slay. It's truly horrific.
There are other ways. Like Slaanesh is one of those gods that does like worship, of course, because obviously very arrogant god. And her main champion is a guy called Sigvald the Magnificent. He is a
Sigvald the Magnificent. Okay.
Yes, he is a Nordic warrior. Who is so handsome and so up himself. His entire armor set is gleaming to a shine all the time, so he's always radiant. He demands that Slaanesh, he's a spoilt child, right? He demands that Slaanesh levitates him off the floor so he doesn't have to touch it. His shield is so reflective, so he can just look at himself all the time. That's all he does in battle. He just looks at him. He's so good, he can fight people one-handed, and he just look at himself the entire time as he's doing it. He is the quintessential Griffith, petulant, arrogant, bit of a rapist as well, has to be said. And that's just who he is, right? And that's Slaanesh. And him and Slaanesh have arguments all the time. When the minute Slaanesh doesn't do something for him, he just sits down and starts crying. He just doesn't want to. He just refuses. He just kicks his legs like a little baby.
That's very funny.
Yeah. It can be.
That's kind of a meme, but that's so retarded. But
I want to applaud.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, I want to applaud.
That sounds good. Is there a miniature of this guy?
Yes.
Or a figure?
There is a miniature, and he's also in the video game as well. You can play as him. And
nice.
Like, if you click on his diplomacy screen, he just insults you every single time. He goes, "Oh, you're so fucking ugly. What's wrong with you? Like, why are you in my presence?" One of his lines is, "You may look upon me," when you literally go to speak to him.
What is this guy's name? Sigvald
the Magnificent. Sigvald the Magnificent.
I'm just doing a Google image search.
Basically, Brad Pitt. If Brad Pitt was a massive piece of shit.
Oh yeah, this guy. Hell yeah, that's funny as hell.
He's just the worst. Just the worst.
Yeah, I mean, you want to beat the shit out of him. Yes. Obviously, that's part of the fun, right?
Dude, like absolutely.
This is an absolute, just a huge, cuntish asshole. Like it's the power of some limp-wristed nerd who, not even a nerd, just like a weakling.
Give a weakling power.
Silver spoon asshole who has never. I don't know. Maybe this guy is 7,000 years old. I don't know, because he's got the favor of the
he's old,
Slaanesh, but has never gotten the shit kicked out of him. Has never been shoved into a locker, and he's just gotten compounding interest on.
He does when he meets Archeon in the End Times. He gets his comeuppance. Don't you worry.
Okay.
One of the only good bits about the End Times is what happens to Sigvald. But we will leave that for another time when we talk about the so we will leave and our whistle stop tour of the old world. We'll leave the Chaos Gods behind, thank God.
Yes.
And we come to we're going to do Orthwan and the Elves, and then we're going to do some Tomb Kings because we have to, because we've got to do the Tomb Kings to get to the vampire count, which is what we're all really here for. So let's do some.
I've seen pictures of the Tomb Kings or the skeletons with pharaoh masks on or hats on.
Don't get me going. I will literally be here the entire time if we have to start talking about the. So elves first, then we're going with elves. So.
Okay.
The elves were given a place called Orthwan, which is essentially Atlantis. It is in the middle of the not Atlantic Ocean in the old world. And it is essentially... You will be happy to know that the Dark Elves are in Canada. So they were sent over there because obviously...
Where they belong.
It's a wretched place of scum and villainy, and that's where they all are. This is essentially... I'd say the donut. Everyone calls it the donut, but it is a glorious...
So this is their island. Okay.
Yes, it is. It is a glorious, wonderful place. It is still a place of darkness at times. There are certain things that can kind of worm their way in here. It does get raided by chaos. It does get raided by the Dark Elves. Each of these areas is beholden to a lord or a king who is in turn subservient to the Phoenix King, who is chosen by Azarian, who is the main god of the elves, and this is where they live. The elves are extremely arrogant, but they do so in a way that your big brother is arrogant. Your big brother looks at what you're doing and goes, "Oh, how cringe, how lame! Can you stop doing that?" You know. The elves kind of solve everybody's problems all the time. When shit is really about to hit the fan, the elves turn up in force, and
that is cool because it means they're ultimately right.
Yes, they
and it gives them some actual badassery,
and
rather than
I'm
just
a
them
dwarf
being.
Guy,
I love dwarves.
I am
dwarves
not
are the coolest fantasy race.
Yeah, I am not an elf guy, but I love fantasy, Warhammer Fantasy elves. There's one guy called Eltharion the Grim, who is basically elven Batman. He has this huge fortress that just looks like something from the Sauron's lands, and he just he's a scarred elf with like a massive jaw, like just chatting to him. He just walks around.
Nice.
And he claps the cheeks of Chaos Champions and Orc War bosses, drags them back, and just interrogates them for centuries to try and find out what other ones are, and just kills them and goes and gets them as well.
Seems like a badass.
Dude, he is absolutely beyond cool. There are tons of other people in here. There's Alariel, who has a lot of, shall we say, Rule 42 about her, obviously, because degenerates are out there.
Yeah.
And obviously we have Tyrion, who is the Phoenix King, who's an awesome dude. And we have Teclis too. Now the elves are so Chad-like in this setting. Teclis is a fucking nerd. He's a wizard, and he can only stay alive by taking his medicine, right? The first time time you see this guy in the Gotrek and Felix books, he's having a threesome with two elven bitches. Like, he's just there, just like doing his thing, right? And it's like,
all right,
Jesus, okay. And like, come back to bed. He goes, no, I have people to kill. He walks off. He's like,
shut up, bitch.
He's like the least metal of the elves, and that's the first thing he does.
But it's still banging a bunch of hot elven broads.
Yeah, he's still just like, get out of my face. I've got things to do, right?
Okay, I mean, if that's the floor,
that's the floor
that we're talking about, that's an elven. Okay, all right, I'm on board with these guys.
Yeah, these are not your mama's elves, I guess.
It's good to have. Yeah, it's like following through on the super arrogance, the super kind of dickishness, which would be merely put over as like a character flaw in a different presentation, or it would be some kind of bait and switch. I like people who are badass, courageous, good, deserve to be arrogant.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. So that is very cool. I like that.
We have all of them here, right? So we have
Oh,
Alariel at the top, who is the Ever Queen, and my queen, my darling. She's there.
Yes.
We have Eltharion is on the far left.
What is that behind him? Is that a broken column, or is
That's
that...
a broken column that he's probably broken with his massive nuts walking past, yes.
Yeah.
We have Teclis to his right with his staff. He is, his brother is...
Okay, this is the so-called nerd.
The so-called nerd.
Pretty...
Yes. Yes.
All right.
We have Tyrion in front, who is his brother, the current Phoenix King, who is there ready to lay down the smackdown. We have the most arrogant elf ever in, I think that is in the back, Prince of Calador, Imric, that is. He is the Prince of Calador. He is a tamer of dragons. But again, the dude literally convinces dragons, massive ones, to just follow him around.
Yeah.
And he just does it by just saying, "Hey, you need to follow me," and they go, "All right, cool. I guess we'll do that." And
I will say, of these 6, the guy with the bow, everybody looks cool.
Alethanar, yes, Alethanar.
Yes. This guy seems like the weak link here. He looks too pensive.
Yes.
I see he doesn't have a crown. He doesn't have a helmet.
Now, Alethanar...
He's looking a little bit too anime here.
Yeah,
he's looking a little too...
a hater of dark elves. But you know the saying, the more you look into the well of darkness, the abyss, you take it into yourself.
Yeah, stares back at you.
This is what Alethanar does. He is the Shadow Prince, the Shadow King. He hunts and skins dark elves. That's what he does.
That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, he's pretty metal. He's not. There is nobody in the setting who is cringe, in my opinion. You just go, ugh, no. Even the bad guys, you love to hate them,
Yeah.
Alethanar is one of those. He's a good guy, but sometimes even the other elves, like, you need to chill, dude. We don't like them, but come on, this is a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
He also has a really weedy voice in the game, which I'm not going to get into here. But these are the elves, and this is what they do. They generally solve other people's problems. They did used to rule most of the world, and then they messed with the dwarves, and the dwarves just ruined their shit. Like, the dwarves.
Yes, it's so good to see the dwarves get like a W.
Dude, we will get into the dwarves.
I'm excited.
I cannot wait. I'm semi there already, right? So, the dwarves just absolutely wrecked this shit. So what happened, it's called the War of the Beard. Essentially what happened is that the dwarves and the elves used to get along quite well. This is before the rise of men. They used to get along quite well, so the dwarves would have all of the mountains, of course, and the elves would have most of the land. And, of course, Ulthuan as well, and the seas and things. And anyway, they got along pretty well. Even a guy called Malekith. God knows why the elves trusted a guy called Malekith, but that's we're neither here nor there. He was sent to the dwarves as an envoy. They got along really well, so much so that Malekith promised to the dwarves that the elves and dwarves would always be friends. The dwarves take oaths very seriously. To the point that if you're called a dwarf friend and you're in trouble, a dwarf hold will probably just turn up to your door. You could be a farmer in a fucking hovel somewhere, but if your great granddad helped out a dwarf back in the day, and you get into trouble and you're around that dwarf hold, they're coming to you, save your ass. They're coming out there in force.
That's pretty fucking awesome.
Yes.
Guys, we're dependable guys. Your crew. Your boys.
Yes. And you don't even know that your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa Alistair helped out a dwarf back in the day. You didn't even know. But these dwarf slayers just turn up and start taking these orcs down and shit and going, all right, manling, how are you? Anyway, so...
How could he not like dwarves?
I know.
Right.
I don't know anybody. They get it. We'll get into that. But anyway. Malekith essentially tries to become the Phoenix King. And for hook or by crook, it doesn't happen for him, right? And his mother is called Marathi. And they have a very strange relationship, if you know what I'm saying. She ends up convincing him to try and take the throne for himself. And he loses. Because he lost, and I'm skipping over a lot of stuff here, of course. Because he lost, he tries to do the insidious route, and what he does is he dresses up as men, as high elves, and starts attacking dwarven caravans. Not good. And the dwarves are actually quite chill about it. Like, they actually say, hey, you know, what's with all this, what's going on, you know? And the elven High King at this time is what I can only describe as a fucktard. And he's described this way by the elves, too, afterwards. Because he's so arrogant and up himself, he just refuses to explain anything. It's heavily hinted that he knows Malekith is doing this, but he's like, but I don't know these dwarves are an explanation. Fuck them. I'm the Phoenix King. You know, who the hell are you? You mountain people, you know? And what he does, the dwarf envoys say, hey, listen, you just got to pay us back for the gold that we lost, and we'll quash it. It's fine.
Call it even.
Yeah. He shaves their beards. And sends them back.
I don't know. I don't need to know anymore
yes.
to know already that is the worst thing you could do.
Yes. The dwarves are, let's say, quite perturbed by this. Shaving a dwarf's beard is worse than killing him. It's worse.
Oh yeah.
It's far
obviously.
Worse. They go to war with the elves, and it's basically World War One. But imagine, like Germany's being pushed back slowly all of the time, right? So the elves are always losing. They can't beat these guys. The dwarves just come out and absolutely clap their shit. To the point that...
Nice.
You know, that there is enmity between... The dwarves hate the elves still to this day. The elves forgave the dwarves after this battle, for the most part. Mostly out of fear. Mostly because it's like, you know, we don't want to screw with those guys again.
We've had enough.
Yes, exactly. And the elves do not like that High King. I need to find what his name is. They do not like that Phoenix King at all in the elven histories because of what he did.
Yeah.
And it's... If you want to know the power of what the dwarves used to be like, they literally beat Atlantis. Like, they literally just
pretty
beat
fucking
Atlantis.
badass. That's a pretty tall order.
So that is the War of the Beard, and that starts the downfall of both races. Because whilst the dwarves did win, they took a lot of losses in the meantime as well. So when the orcs and chaos turn up again and start wrecking shit again, everything collapses. Malekith
so
also...
this all happened before chaos arrived in the world and the portals in the North Pole, South Pole.
Yes, all this happens way after that. Yes. So
okay,
chaos has always been around at this point. The elves have kind of put that right. So when chaos invaded and got rid of the Old Ones, the elves and the dwarves kind of put that to bed and made sure that, you know, we're okay. The elves actually created something called the Vortex, which is in the center of Ulthuan. And it is actually there. It saps most of the magic from the world and keeps things stable. And that's what saved everybody. And that the elves basically saved the world.
Oh,
Interesting.
interesting.
Yeah. So I glossed over that, sorry. But yeah, that's what basically saved the world. The elves saved the world. So they are due a lot of credit for that. But Calador, that was his name. Yes, his name was literally Calador as a king. He has some really funny names like Calador the Feckless, Calador the Beardless, like all of these ridiculous names that both races give him. They do to slaughter him. But I think it's time to shall we do dwarves before we do the Tomb Kings? Do you fancy doing some dwarves?
I want to hear about the dwarves. Yeah.
That sounds so wrong, but let's move on.
Oh, I do have a brief question before because I want to hear about the dwarves. And just enough for me to sort of understand. So you mentioned that the elves have gods. Are these also chaos entities? Are they lesser, essentially?
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't know. We're led to believe that they're not chaos entities, but they may be manifestations of something. When it's never really explained. They might just be ancient elves who were just extremely powerful and ascended to godhood, essentially. But those days, when I explained before about the vortex and stuff, those days are so long ago that no one really gets it. Even the elves and dwarves don't really remember, and they were there, right? Most of them weren't, obviously, but they don't remember any of it at all. Okay, So
is there essentially just last question on this? Are there divine miracles in the world? Is there, quote, divine magic, or is it all magic and it can be ascribed to miraculous powers or blessings, and there's more of a mystery?
It's more of a mystery. Each race has their own form of magic. So the dwarves don't have magic because they don't need it because they're not little bitches. But like, they have rune magic. So they have runes that they can inscribe into their skin and their weapons and their armor, things like that. And they attribute that to Grumgi, who's one of their ancestor gods, who essentially. The dwarf race were created by the Old Ones, but they don't believe that. Okay? And it's left it's left up to us to determine whether the dwarves are right or whether the writers of Warhammer are right, you know? And I'm going with the dwarves,
that.
Because, you know, they say that they were led by 3 ancestor dwarves, one called Grimnir, who is the dwarven god of battle and basically beating people up. He's the dwarven god of slayers, so you take your slayer oath, you're praying to Grimnir. Grumgi, who's the inventor god, he's the inventor dwarf, who's his brother. He is the smith, he's the one who invents things. And we have Valea as well, who's a female dwarf. She is the mother of the race, she is the thinker, the lawgiver, the mother, things like that. And that is where we are with the dwarf. Those are their main 3 gods. They do have others, but those are their main 3 gods. And in response to your question, it is left up to us basically to decide what the elven gods are, what Asarion is, what Vol is, what Cain is. Caelamentia Cain is badass. Like, it's the elven god of murder. And
nice.
He's just the bloody-handed god, and he has this sword called the Sword of Cain, that he just he's lost on the world somewhere, and whenever somebody comes to pick it up, he just advises them not to. Not out of, like, jealousy, just like, you kind of don't want to do that, dude. Like, it's not going to end well. You don't want to do that.
That could be worth it.
It's not going to end well. And,
like the ghost of Elric showing up.
Exactly, a Stormbringer, yes. Yeah. Like, somebody goes and finds Stormbringer, it's like, hey, dude, maybe you don't want to pick that up.
Yeah.
So anyway, dwarves. We're on to the dwarves.
Dwarves.
I would like to show you a very metal picture now. This is essentially what dwarves look like in Warhammer. These are essentially the most metal people, quite literally, in the Warhammer world. There are Chaos Dwarves. We don't speak about them.
Okay.
They are off somewhere else in the world, and they basically got too far away and started like just making. They were making weapons and machinery and things, and just thought, you know, why don't we put demons in these? You know, that might work. So that's just what they started doing.
It seems like a reasonable thought.
It does. It does. Until, you know, the dwarves are the greatest thing ever written by a human being, ever. And I include Tolkien and all of my favourites in there as well. It's a crime we don't have on record who wrote this, because Games Workshop like to place everything behind the studio logo. But the dwarves are essentially the most ridiculous but also cool people. All right, I'm going to talk about the Book of Grudges. So the dwarves have something called the Book of Grudges. It is called their realms are called the Karazhan Core, and this Book of Grudges is a massive slab. Each hold has one that records every single slight ever given to the dwarven people.
Yes.
Every one. And each needs to be crossed out, you know, at some stage, and each will have a clause. This grudge will be cancelled and annulled if and when, you know, and when we do this.
Okay.
There are some more serious than others. You can go into the book for very little. The Damaz Kron. Thank you very much, Krasno. Yes. The book is called the Damaz Kron. And it is literally a big book that every hold has. And you go in there if you've upset a dwarf in some way. You can go in there for remarkably little. As little as owing a dwarf a pint, you can go into the Damaz Kron. Because, you know, you told me you'd get me a pint. Sorry, thank you very much. Thank you, my darling. No one can see you. It's a green screen. You're all right. Okay. So, yeah. You can go into the Damaz Kron for literally, like, not getting a dwarf a pint. Because you told me you would get me a pint. and you didn't.
I mean, you should have been honest.
Exactly. That is exactly what they say. Is an oath to a dwarf is incredibly sacred, to the point that when a human by the name of Felix Jaeger in the Gotrek and Felix series, he just slips out a line. He just says, when there's loads of dwarves around him, they're talking about going somewhere to like take back a dwarf hold, and he gave an oath that they'd go, right? And a bunch of humans are there going, why would you do that? Like, and Felix just shrugs and goes, well, an oath's an oath, And all the dwarves go, ugh, and they all start banging on the,
He's right.
slapping him on the back, and he's named as Dwarf Friend just for doing that. Just for doing that, he's named Dwarf Friend. That's it. They've got your back now, and that's it. And whenever any other dwarf who doesn't know he's a Dwarf Friend says anything bad to Felix, Gotrek, who's his Slayer mate, just headbutts them and tries to murder them. He's like, no.
Nice.
He's my guy. This is my guy, and this is where we're going. The dwarves are the epitome of the backs are to the wall, no mercy, absolutely no mercy. There are no backward steps. They have taken, since the War of the Beard, they have taken so much shit from the orcs and the Skaven, mainly because whilst the elves are limited in numbers, the Skaven and orcs, unfortunately, are not. So it's literally been an exercise in them. I'm sure, Nick, you've seen this trope in other places before. An exercise in the dwarves slowly losing holds over time, right?
Yep.
We've seen it in very many other settings and things like that. But they do have the main ones still. They lost Karak 8 Peaks, but I take it back in Warhammer Total War all the time, so fuck you, Skaven, I always get it back. They lost Karak 8 Peaks, which is one of the biggest ones, but they still have Karaza Karak, which is the greatest hold. It is a massive mountain kingdom just to the east of the Empire. The Empire and the men and dwarves are seen as old allies. Even the dwarves call it the old alliance, right? They are allied to each other. And generally, when shit is really about to hit the fan, the dwarves will and do march out of their dwarven holds to fight for men. Because Sigmar Heldenhammer was such a chad that he killed so many orcs for the dwarves that the dwarves swore eternal friendship with mankind, like all time.
Nice.
Eternal friendship. We are all in their good books. Now they still look down on us because they're dwarves and they're the best, obviously because
no one else is,
and no one else is,
and rightfully so,
and rightfully so. And they still look down on us, but it is what it is. Do not mention the word short in front of the dwarf. You will go in the book. I don't make the rules. That's just where we are. And, but the dwarves are seen as being the best friends to have in Warhammer. They will never let you down. They will never abandon you. They will always be behind you 110%. They're not hype guys. They're not hype men. But they will silently just watch over you, make sure you're okay. Oaths are huge.
I would love to play a dwarf in a Warhammer fantasy game.
Absolutely. The dwarves are so into oaths that one of the coolest ones, and this is something that I mean you need to talk about actually, because it pertains to the game we're going to be playing together.
Yes,
is the Slayer Oath. So I'm not sure if this is a thing in the setting we're going to be playing in, but I'm sure we can invent a version of it or whatever it is that goes on there.
Indeed.
The Slayer Oath is essentially when a dwarf has suffered or done something bad, he voluntarily, or she voluntarily, takes the Slayer Oath. They refuse to wear armor, they shave their heads into a mohawk, and they colour all of their hair bright red to attract as much attention to themselves in the battlefield as they can.
I've seen pictures of these. These guys are on the cover of the tabletop books, right?
Yes, indeed. I think, yes, they are.
Or one of them.
Gotrek is actually one of those. Gotrek is actually the greatest Slayer and also the worst Slayer because nothing can seem to kill the bastard. He just keeps going and nothing can seem to kill him. But he is an absolute unit, and the dwarves, essentially, these dwarves will wander around the world trying to find something to give them a mighty doom. It's called. I want to find a mighty doom. It's the only way they can reclaim
a glorious
their honor.
death in battle.
Yes, it's the only way they can reclaim their honor. Most of them do end up dying, unfortunately, or fortunately for them. But dwarf hide, dwarf skin is so tough they can shrug off most blows from most people. They are the tankiest army in the tabletop. They are the tankiest army on the video game. They are insane. Their inventiveness is such that they have actual fucking helicopters.
Hell yeah.
They just have, like, it's a Black Hawk dwarf. Like, they literally have fleets of these things that just come in and bomb the living shit out of people, and it just... You know, they have organ guns, they have all of these, they have actual firearms, not just like, you know, your normal...
Flintlock rifles.
Flintlock rifles, nothing.
Muskets.
They have those too, but they have actual lever-action guns. They have Wild West-style guns. These guys...
That's pretty damn cool. They've got a lot of shit going. They have a lot of advantages.
Do you have anything to say about the dwarves so far, about what we've covered?
This is, so far, the most interesting... group. Obviously, are they all that different from any other dwarf you've seen before? In certain ways, no. But that's the point. That is, we were talking earlier about tropes. We're leaning in courageously into the trope.
Yes.
We're taking
that's it.
Yes.
They lean in so far, they come out the other end, and it's like, now
exactly.
Yes.
But it's still good. It's still good. It's
absolutely.
This is great. I've always loved dwarves, the structure of it. It's of their temperament, their culture. It's super fucking cool. This is a character or a group of people. It's a race that oozes personality.
Yes. Absolutely.
So you've got a bunch of touchstones that you can always come back to. Obviously, different dwarves, they're not going to be clones of each other, literally, if you're doing a character. But these touchstones are so evocative, they're so easily apprehensible, and they make perfect sense within the logic of this culture, this species, this group, that I love it. And I've always loved the concept of rune magic as like a thing. And so that wins me over as well.
I think they it's such a cool way you put it. Like, they lean so far in that they come out the other side and it
embrace the gimmick, baby.
Yeah, they're unapologetic. They're just what they are. They don't care. They are literally so dwarfy. There's one very hilarious character who he's in Gotrek and Felix, and somebody says something about shortness around him, and he just looks up, and he's got the Damaz Kron in his bag, and he goes, book, and goes back to his pint, because he knows he's going to put him in the book later. You just say, it says book, and that's it, done. You know, that's all you need to say.
What is the logistics of getting in the book? Do they have, like, dwarven undercover SS people going out into the lands of men, just observing?
No.
To bear witness to...
It's usually something that happens to them in their presence. They will go, and they will. You'll
go back to the hold.
Yeah.
And,
this is the guy was saying this. You can go in the book for like a myriad of different reasons. And a lot of weirdly, if you are in the Book of Grudges and you do something to get yourself struck out of the Book of Grudges, the dwarves look at that with great favour. They're like, you went out of your way, you wronged us, and you went out of your way to say sorry, to make amends.
Yeah.
So you're not quite dwarf friend. You may be, depending on what you did. Yeah. There are quite a lot of humans who have died in battle, who've had their... So say a village has been annoying a dwarf hold by cutting down trees or mining where they shouldn't be mining. And then a warrior from that village will help out a dwarf hold inadvertently. Well, the dwarf hold don't care if it was made on purpose or not. They strike out the entire grudge. Say, no, we don't need that anymore. That's fine. You know, you don't need to worry about that. So they're not unreasonable.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're not unreasonable. Some of them can be. Don't get me wrong. Like there are some dwarves out there who could really do with a clip round the ear because they
have a weighted morality, both on the good and the bad side, which is amusing and fitting.
They don't do social moving a lot. Put it this way, any piece of technology that's been tested for like 100 years is seen as this radical thing that maybe you shouldn't be touching because it's only been tested for 100 years. Dwarves live for a long time. and their grudges also go with them. So it is one of those things. They're not very mobile in terms of mentality, but neither do they need
and
to
yet
be.
it sounds like they have the most advanced technology.
They do, but it's not even a question. They do. The Chaos Dwarves especially are insane. Like the things they can pull off are just. These people with like actual Gatling cannons and different things going on, howitzers and all sorts. So those are the dwarves.
I mean, a Chaos Dwarf sounds. I can't think of anything more metal.
Yes.
I don't know what these guys look like, but the idea of a Chaos Dwarf. And if they're more industrialized, if they have like Gatling guns and shit,
I could just find.
We're talking about like hellish diesel punk. That's pretty fucking cool.
Chaos Dwarf. They are one of the most terrifying factions in the game, in my opinion, for what they represent and what they are. These dudes are so powerful. They just kind of enslaved most of the orc race at one point. The orcs.
Holy shit.
They created Grimgor Ironhide, who's the biggest, baddest orc there is, because they just wanted to make a smarter orc. And it backfired on them, because obviously smart orcs that's not good. Don't do that. But he essentially tore them a new one, and they haven't been the same since, unfortunately for them.
Damn.
Fortunately for the rest of us, they don't turn up a lot in the books. The dwarves call them the Dark Cousins and do not speak of them. Speaking of the Chaos Dwarves can get you put in the book. Literally just speaking of them can get you put in the book. There's a picture of them on screen now for you if you want to go on there. They don't speak in Khazalid, which is the dwarf speech. They speak in like a bastardized version of it.
Okay.
Azak the Black, he says his name is Azak Gadaj, or whatever his name is. Like they're very.
Oh, this is like a what would you say? This is like a kind of like Molaram looking hat.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. But the thing
He's got like orc tusks.
They are thriving though. That's the thing. They are thriving out there. They're thriving into nothingness because they're in a Badlands area.
Are those mechs?
Yes, they have mechs. They are powered by demons. They have massive hell cannons. They actually have a demon train that they just send into the enemy. It's just this massive steam train full of demon souls. They just like send at the enemy, and that's just what it does. It just runs them over and churns them into mulch. They enslave goblins and dwarves. They have trade caravans that go across the entire world, and they're so powerful, everybody trades with them. Because we all need their shit. Right? It doesn't matter.
So, are these guys primarily, like writ large, chaos cultists? Because it sounds like they're more like Diabolus almost. It's like
That's
we
exactly
acknowledge
what they
the
are.
power of chaos,
Yes.
but we're summoning these guys to enslave them.
Yeah.
Now maybe this will bite us in the ass. It probably will at some point.
You're exactly right. They're not cultists. They don't worship the chaos gods as such, but they do use them, and they do take their power, and they do.
That's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
This is my favorite faction so far.
Yeah, they because they're dwarves, and magic doesn't really have an effect on them. So they're able to just go to the chaos god and say, "Give us that shit, or I'm going to kick you so hard in the fucking nuts that they're going to come out of your eyes." And I have the.
I'm not seeing a single downside thematically with these guys. I love it.
Yeah, they are.
I would now. Unfortunately, I would imagine in a game it's very hard to like role play as someone to be a protagonist. I guess as one of these guys.
If you
can do it.
Play a chaos dwarf or a chorf, as we call them, you better hope you don't come across any other dwarves because they would absolutely push your shit in.
Beat the shit out of you, kill you. Yeah.
Without a second thought.
I mean,
but
hell yeah.
They are wicked in the game. If you're into strategy games, go get the Chaos Dwarves DLC and play Chaos Dwarves. They are absolutely...
Oh, they're in the Total War. Okay.
They are, and they are cool.
What is the right one to get? Because they made 2 Total War.
Just get
Warhammer
3
fantasies,
and then get whatever deal. So 3 comes with a lot of stuff. And the Chaos Dwarves are separate. They're a DLC. But if you get Total Warhammer 3 and then Chaos Dwarves, that's it. That's all you need to play Chaos Dwarves. And you can play against every faction without owning the DLC. They all turn up on full power.
Oh, okay.
You know, but it only costs money for you to play certain factions. I think on the base Total War 3, you get like 15, 16 factions. And each of those has like 4 or 5 lords.
Holy shit.
So you get a lot for your money.
I didn't even know there were that many factions out there.
Oh, there is. We won't cover them all tonight, but there is, yes.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to cover Wood Elves, because fuck them. And other people are. So I think it's time for us to venture into the land of Vampire the Masquerade, and maybe some familiar territory for Nick. Because
here we go.
Talking about the motherfucking Tomb Kings. These are my wife's favourite faction, because she is a woman of culture. And, of course, look who she married. Look at that. But no, she is a woman of culture, and they are essentially the first human civilization. They arise in the southern lands, essentially where Egypt is in the real world. So the Warhammer World's map is essentially our world, but it's fucked up on different sides. And the place that would be Egypt, and that area of the world is where humans first arise and spread out from.
Got it.
And start to make their kingdoms. The Tomb Kings are essentially a fallen Egyptian civilization. They were incredibly advanced back in the day, to the point where mainly due to magic, but their kings became very despotic and obsessed with living forever, to the point that they kind of accidentally invented necromancy and started trying to make themselves live for a long time. A man called Nagash actually went full on and created the school of necromancy. He's the first necromancer, and he wanted to live forever. Fortunately for us, the rest of civilization, basically the rest of those dudes at the time, here is Nagash, when he was not a big skeleton man. We'll get to Nagash a bit later on, because he's now the god of death, but I'll get into that later.
Nice.
So this guy essentially created necromancy, for want of a better word, and the rest of the Tomb Kings united and killed him, which is a bit of a
This is him when he was alive.
Yes, but to Nagash, being killed is more of a temporary setback rather than actually getting killed. He goes to sleep for a long time, and in his absence, the Tomb Kings arise, including my favourite Tomb King, Cetra, the motherfucking imperishable. I am going to read for you.
A great name.
Cetra's many lauded and, shall we say, deserved titles. Let me just read some of you his titles here. All right, here we go. Are we ready to listen to some of his wondrous titles? All right. Cetra the Imperishable, the High King, Kemikara, the Great King of Nekahara, the King of Kings, the Opener of the Way, Wielder of the Divine Flame, Punisher of Nomads, don't be coming into his realm, the Great Unifier, Commander of the Golden Legion, Sacred of Appearance, very important, Bringer of Light, the Father of Hawks, the Builder of Cities, the Protector of the Two Worlds. If I carry on going, there are 19 pages of these.
Yeah, man. Yes. That's awesome.
I mean,
that's so funny that they would take the time to write 19 pages of titles.
There are 19 pages. He is literally on the. You can see him there on the artwork. He is the central guy in the upper left.
The guy
to go.
Holding the Kopesha.
Exactly. Yes. Cetra is actually a good guy. Cetra's a good king. And when he's alive, he unifies Khemri and Nekahara. He unifies the Tomb Kings, and people live long and pleasant lives under Cetra. He's a very good king. If you're good. If you're not good, and you are not for Cetra, he murders you.
Meaning if you're loyal.
Yeah, he murders you, your dog, your dog's friends, or everything's dead, right? Everything on that over there is not a problem anymore, because Cetra's decided that that's got to go. Unfortunately, he falls prey to wanting to live forever, just like Nagash, and essentially, he kind of does. He kind of masters necromancy to the point that sometimes he awakens and comes back and sees what his descendants are up to, and then he's just like, not good enough, builds the empire again, and then dies. And then builds it again,
nice.
and then dies. That is who Settra is. When Nagash comes back, right? And
so are all these other Tomb Kings? Are these
Yes.
were these like, because it's Nagash, you said, who invents necromancy?
Yes.
So presumably he's the best at it.
He's the best at it.
These
He's
guys
also a Tomb
all
King.
like disciples of his?
Yes, these are all descendants or disciples who have broken away and done their own thing, essentially. Some of them are more loyal to him than others, but he was the first necromancer. He is the most powerful. There is a very funny quote from the end times, probably one of the best things, in that the Chaos Gods get Settra to just do some stuff for them. They like help him out against Nagash. And they offer him everything. They say, we will give you the whole world, right? And we'll give you the power to defeat Nagash. When he's about to be killed by Nagash, Settra is so insulted by this that he refuses and says, no, just for that, I'm going to kill you four first.
Alright, that's pretty fucking badass.
And I quote, Settra does not serve, Settra rules. He literally says that to the Chaos Gods. Like,
that's a baller fucking answer.
It's a baller fucking answer.
Alright.
And it works on many levels.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he does get killed after that. But he goes down swinging.
Oh, no.
That's more all I can say is he goes down swinging.
He goes down for good?
And no. I mean, he is a Tomb King, so he will be back at some stage. Well, we're in the Age of Sigmar now. Everybody dies because it's the end of the old world. A lot of Warhammer fans don't look at it as canon. We just put it over there. But that one line, it's canon so much, people have like rewound it to take place earlier in the old world because
it's
just
pretty fucking badass.
Such a baller line.
So that okay.
Right. So, those are the Tomb Kings. They are essentially, I'd love to say they are more than the Mummy Returns on steroids, but that's essentially what they are. But sometimes a faction doesn't need to be much else than what it says on the tin. These guys also inadvertently invent vampirism. There is a queen called Nekahara.
I mean, if they're inventing necromancy, that makes sense.
Exactly, yes. She basically gets one of the books of Nagash, and she gets it wrong.
Okay.
Basically, she gets her spells wrong.
Okay.
And creates the first vampires.
Woman moment.
Woman moment, yes, exactly. So she invents the first vampires, and she starts spreading the vampiric curse around ancient Egypt, or ancient Nekahara, as it would be back then. And when Nagash awakens...
Does she herself become a vampire,
yes.
or is she like some sort of lich by this time?
No, she becomes the first Lamian vampire.
So she's presumably trying to get the secret of immortality and be whatever Nagash and this other guy,
if you're looking
some kind of lich thing.
If you're looking for a Cain figure, that would be Nagash and Lamia together, or the Cain figure of this setting's vampires. Because really it comes from Nagash, but Lamia was the one who, she
did it.
She fucked it up, and everybody sort of became vampires after that. So that spread from the Tomb Kings outwards. And eventually the vampires split into their own different clans and different... we do have the Nosferatu, we have, we'll get into those in a second. But Nagash does eventually keep coming back with his black pyramid that floats, because it's metal as fuck. And
why wouldn't it? Yeah.
Why wouldn't it? He wanted to make sure that nobody could build a bigger pyramid than him. So how would you do that? Well, you make yours float, so it's above everybody else's. Yeah. So, it is one of those things.
Not wrong. No lies detected.
No, those are the Tomb Kings. That is what they are, essentially. That is where vampirism comes from. That is Genesis in this world.
So before we switch to the vampires, a question about the Tomb Kings, because I would imagine, based on the shared aesthetic, that there is the Necrons are the 40k version of the Tomb Kings. And my understanding of the Necrons is that only they're like main guy. What is it? The Silent King.
Yeah.
Is the only they're all like literally robots, and there's no personality.
Their lords have personality. The lords do, The Necrons
Okay.
don't.
Is that the same thing with the Tomb Kings? Are the regular rank and file? I'm guessing everybody's skeletons in the Tomb King's lands, or are there living people who are still subjected to?
There are living people who live in the lands of the Tomb Kings, who are just alive. There's normal people. Right?
Okay.
It's dangerous to live there, but people do live there. The Bretonians actually launch crusades into there, because of course they do, because they're French. So they launch crusades all the time, and they lose most of the time, because of course they do, they're French. So you have... But most of the Tomb Kings, yes, the lords and the kings are the kings and their friends are the ones with minds. The rest are controlled by them in this necromantic, smorgasbord of what's going on. Essentially, we have Nehikara in front of us now. She is the queen of vampires.
Nice.
One of the first ones.
Appropriately scantily clad. I like that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, what would it be without some thigh showing? We have Nagash himself, as he is now. He is basically Skeleton Pope, is what people call him now. He is a man with a very big hat and a very big loincloth that is obviously not compensating for anything whatsoever. And he is there essentially as the god of death.
That's pretty fucking cool.
When you die, Nagash wants you to come to him so he can put you in another body and you can rise as one of his servants forever, that kind of a thing. There's nothing Nagash hates more than somebody stealing his shit. So other necromancers, he tolerates if they serve his ends. If you don't serve his ends and you're a necromancer, you are in for a rough time if he catches word of what you're doing. Because you're keeping souls from getting to Nagash, and that's not acceptable. Such is the power of Nagash. He is a meme unto himself, and he's not unreasonable. Like in Age of Sigmar, Sigmar frees him, and they work together to basically create the world, essentially. So he's not unreasonable.
Jesus, okay.
Yeah. I mean, Age of Sigmar is just a fever dream at this point. It's ridiculous what goes on in it, but sometimes it gets it right. And what they do with Nagash, our glorious Skeleton Pope, is one of those good ones. The next bit, though, I think we can do a Doof McToofer, because the Empire is what we're going to do next. But Sylvania, which is where most of the vampires are, is a part of the Empire in the east, where Romania would be. It's where that area of the world. Oh,
it's part of the interesting. Okay.
Yes, it is actually part of the Empire. Going to vampires, here are the vampire clans.
There are actually clans.
There are actually clans. Yes. There are actually clans. We have.
Are these from different misunderstandings of Nagash's necromancy?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Okay.
Different forms of corruption. So the Lamians are one of the most oldest ones, obviously, because they started it in Ekara. But as time has gone on, different vampires have sort of corrupted it, and different necromancers have almost invented their own bloodlines as they're going on. Your Van Karsteins are the Dracula types. So you have your it says it right there, right? Handsome, arrogant, and charismatic. That's what they are, right?
Yeah.
Very powerful, very cool. The Lamians are your infiltrators, your sexy ladies, femme fatales.
Toreadors.
Toreadors. Yeah, there you go. Your blood dragons are your anarchs, but take away all the cringe away from it, and you're basically left.
There's a lot of cringe to be taken away.
Well,
but these guys don't look cringe. Red armor is cool.
Imagine the anarchs that ruled Carthage, right?
Oh.
The badass ones, the actual ones that weren't just guys walking around with beanie hats on. That's That's the blood dragons. Now these guys are blood knights. They are literally, they fight for the Empire. They don't make any bones about it. Yeah. Because Sylvania is part of the Empire. They are, it's an open secret in the Imperial Court that vampires exist, right? They know they do, but they can't do anything about it because every time they kill one of them, they just come back again, and and so they're just like, well, if they want to fight for us against chaos, fine, we'll take all the help we can get,
Sure.
There have been many vampire wars between the vampires and the rest of the Empire. When a vampire like Vlad von Karstein, fucking chat that is. He has tried many times to be emperor and has failed, unfortunately, every time. Mostly because other
he wants to be emperor. Okay.
Yeah, mostly because other vampires stab him in the back, as of course that's what you do.
Yeah.
We have one called Manfred von Karstein, who is a dick of the highest order. Like, Manfred just does evil shit because it's funny, and one of the evil things he did ended up in the old world blowing up and forming the Age of Sigmar. So the Age of Sigmar is Manfred's fault. That's not a huge statement.
That's a tough crime to atone for.
Yes. We have the Necrocs, who are essentially your Nosferatu, and they are...
Yeah, these guys
foul.
look like Marcus from fucking Underworld, whatever that Underworld sequel was.
And of course we've got the Strigoi, which don't really have a counterpart in Vampire the Masquerade as far as I'm aware. Maybe the Gangrel, but they
this
don't
looks like
this.
A man bat. It's like a bat, a werebat kind of thing, or like the What are they the fucking low Is it Doesn't The Witcher do this? The high vampires can turn into something that looks like that.
Yeah. They have their like massive bat form dudes.
Yeah. They're like werebats, but we're calling them vampires rather than
exactly. I mean,
werewolves.
And all of these vampires, they work in the same way. They're all immortal. The typical vampire stuff. They don't like sunlight, and some of them can walk in the sun, depending on what kind of blood type they have. So blood dragons most of the time can, through sheer willpower, we're told, because they're just so tough and angry. They just walk around in the sun and they don't care. They're just like, okay, I will burn, it's fine. I'll put some sun cream on. I'm covered in armor. Yeah. You know, if it gets to me, it gets to me. But this is one head I must have. And they will ride to battle.
Nice.
They form their own knightly order, which is, like, unheard of. The
vampires or each clan does?
No, just the blood dragons. Just the blood dragons. They form their own knightly order that actually goes to war for the emperor. Like, they actually go...
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, and they keep their armor on at all times so that they can't be, seen by the general gentry, but they just go to war and they fuck shit up. Von Karsteins the Von Karsteins are the ones who want the imperial throne. So you've had Vlad von Karstein, Isabella, Manfred, all these dudes. They all want Conrad, who's insane, and they all want the imperial throne at some point or another. But these are the bloodlines of the vampires. There are more, but these are the main 5, essentially, that are out there.
Do they have different clan weaknesses or powers like in
They do.
VTM?
Yes, they do.
Interesting.
So on the weaknesses, I know the Blood Dragons ones is obsessive martial arrogance. That sometimes gets them to just stay in the battle a bit too long and they get killed or they end up going into the sun. The Von Karsteins, it's all about power. It's all about, no matter what they do, they always need that next rung up. That's why they always tend to betray each other. The only two who don't is Vlad and Isabella, because they're genuinely in love. They're genuinely man and wife, so they don't turn against each other. Which is nice.
Yeah, this is very ZMC, very Dracula, very...
Yes.
The undead aristocrat, the old world refinement, and the arrogance and ambition that comes with that. That's the sense I'm getting here.
Yeah, and
which is perfect. I love that.
I'm not sure...
I love a good politics game with vampires. I
know Warhammer predates Vampire by a good while, but I'm not sure...
It would have to if it was the mid-'80s, yeah.
It's actually like late 70s if we're really picking the bones out of it.
Oh, really? Okay, damn.
So, well, it sort of started when Games Workshop started picking up steam and they started wanting to do their own thing. But I'm not sure... So vampires have always been in Warhammer, but I'm not sure whether the inner mechanics of how they work predates Vampire the Masquerade, if you know what I'm saying. So I know vampires are part of Warhammer, but I'm not sure whether the ideas for the bloodlines come from Warhammer or they were taken from the Masquerade. I'm not sure. Maybe somebody in chat can share.
So in the beginning, as soon as there were vampires, which may have been at the beginning, were all these guys here at the beginning, or was it just one of these?
It was Lamians first. Lamians first, and they.
Well, in the in the real world chronology of like what was the first developed.
Oh, right. Okay.
Were they in the?
I'm not sure.
Which may be the same thing.
I'm not sure.
I've heard the von Karsteins before. They seem like they're the most
yes
notable characters who are.
Well, I remember a
vampires.
book about a Lamian vampire, and getting a very insecure boner when I was about 12. So that's a while ago. That's like 20 odd years ago. So they've been around for a long time. I mean, think Lamy and von Karsteins are the first two, really. I think the others sort of came later on. I'm guessing, though. I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's interesting to consider if there was some, like, how much pollination and cross-pollination was there from fantasy to VTM, from VTM back to fantasy. I don't know. That would be interesting to figure out, like, when the vampires were first laid out, what was the extent and what was the sophistication of, like, the lore at that time, and how did that change incrementally?
Dr. Rotmang says vampire counts as an army, not lore, but as an army. But normally lore comes with, normally there's something in the lore that's fleshed out into an army, and that's when you
justify
get most
an army.
Yes,
that would make sense.
So Vampire Count started as an army in 5th edition, which is 1999. So that would, for me,
that's late.
That would, yeah. So vampires have been in it since the start, but they only got their own army in 1999.
Yeah.
So I would say
that's interesting. And 1999, I mean, not only are you getting to like Gehenna stuff, but you have like Blade, and you have.
Yes.
When did Underworld come out? That may have been after.
2000s, yeah, 2000s.
Yeah.
So I think the Bloodline stuff comes from Vampire the Masquerade.
2003.
Yeah, no, I think
that might be the case. It would make sense because people forget how popular and how like culturally relevant Vampire the Masquerade was. We were talking about wrestling at the beginning. There was a wrestler called Gangrel.
Yeah, the Brood.
And White Wolf was credited. If you watched the show to the end of the credits, they credited Gangrel as like a trademark thing from White Wolf in like those old shows.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So Rotmang also says before 5th edition they were lumped in with the rest of the undead. Vlad von Karstein was 4th edition undead in 1993-1994. So the von Karsteins do kind of nearly predate Vampire the Masquerade.
This would be a couple years after the first edition of VTM comes out in 91.
So
that's cool.
I'm thinking Vampire Masquerade is influencing Warhammer, and not the other way. Which tracks? Because Games Workshop do this a lot with different things and don't give any credit and pretend it's theirs. Sometimes it's fine, but sometimes it's a bit icky. There you go. But
that's interesting.
So those are your vampires.
And again, a single blood dragon lord could wipe out a whole block of dudes. Nice.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
I would love. That would be fun to do. I don't know what the Warhammer Fantasy tabletop rules are like. I don't have a copy yet because I'm. Oh, you'll have to tell me what the best edition to pick up is, but it would be very fun to play essentially a Dark Ages vampire game in Sylvania.
Yes.
And we could adapt some things.
Oh yeah.
You could consolidate and adapt like the VTM clans, and you could convert this and like hone it down to, what was there, 5 clans there? You said there are some more.
There are
as well, minor clans.
Absolutely.
That would be fun.
So I know we've got you've frozen on your screen, by the way, on your
have
camera.
I?
Yeah. You sound fine, but you're
Okay, well, let me turn my hopefully I'll there we go.
There you go.
Perfect.
No, that would be an awesome game. Like I think if you're looking into, because they do fight amongst themselves, like Castle Drakenhof and places like that. They're always switching hands and switching sides, and there's always like a vampire who's very ambitious, who wants to just get into Drakenhof and do it his own way, and I'll succeed where Vlad didn't, and all this other stuff.
Hell yeah.
But getting into that, let's talk Empire, right? Let's talk Empire. I think this is one of the last ones, actually. I think we're nearly there. So,
okay. This is a great cover, by the way. I like this. I'm assuming this is some. Oh, Altdorf, Crown of the Empire. Presumably that's the capital.
Yes, it's capital.
This is it paints a great picture of this city. And what I like about this is it's full of life, and it's also full of grime. This is the opposite of the sanitized pastel colors. Nobody has the SSRI stare, look on them. It's great. It looks like there's a duel happening. There's a bar. There's some gambling or pub fair disagreement happening.
Yep, it is.
There's a bunch of adventures taking place here.
It is going on, is what it's doing. It is going on. I do have a map of the Empire, actually. Here it is. It is a map of the Empire, and we can see. Don't worry about the bottom. That's the French. No one cares about those. We have, of course, we can see Sylvania on there. That is on there. So the World's Edge Mountains on the right-hand side, going all the way down, that is where the dwarves are most of the time. Karazakarak is up there.
Okay.
Karak Vaughan is up there too. A bunch of other places that the dwarves are. The Black Mountains at the bottom are where the orcs come through from the Badlands. They come through into that area of the Empire. And these are the different...
Okay.
Kislev at the top is essentially Fantasy Russia. That's where that is.
This is another country. That's a political boundary.
Yes. And
these are all provinces.
These are all provinces. And above them is Norska, where the heavy metal Vikings who worship demons are. And they come down all the time to murder and kill everybody. We have, obviously, Tabakland. I'm not going to go through them all. Reichland is the central place. Altdorf is there in Reichland, right at the top of Reichland. You can see it.
Yep.
That is where the Emperor Karl Franz holds court. The Emperor is an elected position. It is imagine the Holy Roman Empire in the midst of the Industrial Revolution. That is what we have. A lot of people will look at the Empire and they look at the word fantasy and they think, oh, okay, well, we're going to have knights, and yeah, we do. But we also have steam tanks, and we also have cannons and guns, and they're not that reliable. They're made in a place called Null, which is nearby, down there in Wissenland. But they are used, and most of them are famed gifts from the dwarves that have been repurposed and redone over the years. And there are people who live in the Empire who aren't human, like the halflings. They never got an army, for shame, but they are there. They are in the place called the Moot. They are Laurelorn Forest, which has wood elves in it. They are there as well. So it is essentially, the Empire is not a safe place. There are things on the road you don't want to encounter. If you go off the beaten track, you may run into beastmen or all like chaos-infused creatures, cursed creatures. You get orcs, you get all sorts of things off the beaten track. Robber warbands roaming around. But by and large, the closer you get to Reichland, the safer things become. And,
Got it. Okay.
Altdorf is a huge city, probably the biggest in the old world, if I'm being honest. And it is where you have, obviously, Karl Franz, the absolute shad that is Karl Franz with his slab-like jaw.
Nice.
Making his way. But I want to talk about another person right now. I want to talk about Sigmar motherfucking Heldenhammer. This guy.
Okay.
So, Sigmar he's essentially Conan.
Okay.
In this setting. Right. He is so, as I said before, he kills so many orcs as the head of his tribe, the Umbrogan tribe, that he ends up uniting a lot of humans behind him, and the dwarves swear eternal gratitude and friendship to him. They give him the Warhammer known as Gal Maraz, Skull Splitter, which the actual setting is named after. So he wields the
Oh, that
Warhammer.
is the Warhammer.
That is the Warhammer
Okay.
in his hand.
All
in the
right.
picture.
It's always nice when the title, the thing.
Yes.
It's an item. It's a thing you can visit, you can see, you can
Yes.
wield, or someone is wielding it. Yeah.
So, in fact, it's passed down through the ages, and Galmaraz is now wielded by Karl Franz. You can see it on his picture.
Nice.
Oh, it's very big. That's what she said. It is actually here. You can actually see his. Whoops. Galmaraz is right there, so we can actually see good old Galmaraz right behind him.
Oh, nice.
And he can. So that has been passed down through the centuries for a long time in the Empire. I'm not sure if this is the original Galmaraz. So some people have told me that it's not, that it's actually a copy. But those people, I'm not sure whether they were just talking up their arse or not, because I don't see any reason why it's not Galmaraz. It even turns up in Age of Sigmar. It's that much of a big thing. Anyway.
So what is the because that picture of Sigmar you mentioned, he looks like Conan, he seems like Conan.
Oh, you want Conan? I've got another picture of good old Sigmar here for you.
Why not?
Which you might find more
now,
appealing.
There's a huge amount of time between Conan and like the relatively modern day, if we follow the Hyborian age.
Yeah.
Is this the scale of time we're talking about, from like Sigmar uniting these human tribes and
it's about,
the birth of the Empire?
Years. About 1,000 years.
About 1,000 years, okay.
Yeah. So he is.
Oh yeah.
He basically unites humanity of this area into what's called the Empire, right? And he becomes its first emperor. He doesn't die. He wanders off and just disappears, and says, I'll
just
be
like
back.
Conan.
Yeah, just like Conan. Just wanders off, disappears, and is never seen again. And everybody he becomes God, right? He becomes the god of the Empire. They pray to Sigmar. And he does grant favors, and he does grant miracles.
Interesting.
He's not like Crom. He does actually do things. He can even possess people. That has happened before, where a spirit comes back and possesses a guy, and he has like the arm of Sigmar, and he just starts pummeling things. He is essentially Giga Chad walking around Warhammer, as you would have to be to found something called the Empire with nothing underneath it. Just it's the Empire, and that's what we are.
That's
the only
awesome.
people who didn't join in with the Bretonnians, and they're French, so nothing lost there.
Nothing was lost.
Nothing was lost.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at the armor and dress of the Empire nowadays, this is kind of what we're looking at. It'll be on screen in a few moments.
Yeah. It's such a cool mixing of aesthetics. And it just works so well. This more Renaissance or post-Renaissance. I don't know. What would you say? This is like 17th century.
Something like
kind
that.
of.
Yeah. Getting towards there. Yeah.
HRE rather than fantasy England. There's nothing wrong with fantasy England. There's just a lot of,
There's a lot of it.
It really does stamp its own, mark.
Well, this was the make or break point for the setting, I think. When they decided to go more Germanic than English, is when I thought, okay, now you've hit dynamite. Now you've got it. Now you've got your own thing.
But was that not always the case? Was that not always the...
In the original design stage, they were actually going to go more medieval England, Arthurian, things
Oh,
like that.
Wow.
It never made it to
Interesting.
print, and it never made it to models. But that was the original feeling, was that they were going to go down that route. And then I think it was Rick Priestley and somebody else who turned around and said, no, let's go in this other direction. Mainly because...
What a great decision.
Gothic Knights are just fucking cool. And they just went and said, let's do this.
And it even makes sense, like, if you're using real-world inspiration, some of those pieces of, like, 17th century armor from Germany or Italy are... they look like they belong in a role-playing game.
Yes.
They look pretty, like, heavy metal already.
Exactly. I mean, Dr. Rockman again has said the Galmaraz is the original. Sigmar's
Nice.
soul was trapped within it until the end times, released with the death of Karl Franz when he dies there, who is reborn as both Karl and Sigmar. End times bullshit, basically. You know, it just whatever. But yeah, it is actually Galmaraz. It is Galmaraz. That's why it's so powerful, because it has a shard of Sigmar's soul within it, and that is what's going on there.
So we don't need to dwell on it, but since it was just brought up, is Warhammer Fantasy a defunct setting?
No.
So it's been strange because it doesn't. Yeah. I've heard that it's basically defunct from a wargaming standpoint and from a role-playing game standpoint, but the video games take place, or the total war games do take place in the old world, but everything else is Age of Sigmar.
So, Disruptive Machine said something really, really interesting there. He said the split from TSR is what forced Games Workshop to go more Germanic. It was going to be more English. They split from TSR, and that's what made them go more Germanic, to separate themselves from Dungeons and Dragons, which is no bad thing. In terms of being defunct, no. There is actually... Games Workshop have re-released The Old World as its own war game now. It is back. It is.
Okay.
You can actually go and buy it again now. And it's wickedly overpriced plastic. It is a good game, though. It's a very good game, and it takes place before the end times. They haven't retconned that. They should have, but they haven't.
Interesting.
They've just moved the timeline, the focus of the game backwards from just before the end times to about 500 years before the end times. So you've got a different emperor, a different thing going on, and all that
so you
sort
haven't.
of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a. I was going to say that's a retarded way to do it, but there's no non-retarded way to bring back a world that was supposed to have ended. I mean, we saw this with VTM, with like V5.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, did Gehenna happen? Did it not happen? I guess it kind of did happen, but it didn't mean what we thought it would. There's no easy way to walk it back. But that's unfortunate.
If there's no easy way to walk it back, in my opinion, you should just do it and rip the Band-Aid off. And say, do you know what?
I mean, the way to do it is just say, this was a mistake.
Yes. Admit it.
Everybody likes this. Yeah. We're just going to pretend that didn't happen. Yeah. And we're going to go back to what it was.
It was a fun what if.
Yeah.
And we can still have Age of Sigmar. That's fine.
Sure, if you want to do that. Yeah. I don't even know what it is, but like if you want to do it, that's fine.
Yeah,
we've already made models and stuff for it.
Well, the Emperor as a position is actually a voted position, just like it was in the actual Empire.
Right.
It is not. If you like the city scene, here's another one for you. It'll be on the screen in a sec. It is a voted position. The elector counts vote on the next emperor. It's not a hereditary position, and it is one of those because no one can live up to Sigmar essentially. So you don't pass it down from father to son, and it is relatively stable empire. It's not like the Imperium of Man where it's constantly shrinking and getting worse. Things are stable. Yeah. Things are going well. They generally...
This would... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No.
No, what I was going to say is... you tell me if you think this is right or wrong. It seems like Warhammer Fantasy isn't... It's a dark fantasy. It doesn't seem like a grimdark setting. Certainly not in the way that 40K appears to be. And that may be just the existence of the fantasy elements. The fact that there is magic and there's some kind of cooperation going on, which seems less the case in 40K. I'm sure there is in the lore, but things don't seem so monolithically dire.
It seems when it happens in 40K, it seems out of place and almost meme-ish when factions team up. In fantasy, it's built in. It's a feature. I would describe fantasy as gritty rather than grim. It's got this mud over it, right? It's muddy. It's messy. And yeah, people die in their droves, but it's also,
Sure.
in my opinion, Grimdark only has use to be a backdrop for heroism. That's all it's for. If you do,
I love what you said in, I think it was your Lionel Johnson video about you encapsulated Grimdark needing the rays of light, the rays of light.
Yeah, if you do something like, say, Trench Crusade, where you do a Grimdark setting which is full of nihilism, it's just cowardice. It's not. You're not saying anything. The true coolness of a Grimdark setting is that it shows you the tenacity of the human spirit, or whatever creatures out there, to survive, right? And Warhammer has that in droves, but it's got so many other cool, lighter aspects to it that I would actually argue it's more of a gritty setting than a Grimdark one. But Grimdark does work for it. You've got to shimmy it in there to get it to work, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it does work. It does work.
I mean I think that is the perfect descriptor. That is the right word for this image we're looking at here. That's the perfect adjective for that Altdorf book cover image of all the shit going on. Like, that's exactly what it is. It's not. Grimdark isn't right. It is gritty. There's mud and there's dirt over everything, but there's also a ton of like life and like vitality happening as well.
So I actually have 3 more factions to go. So would you want to finish this all off, or what do you want to do? It's up to you. I'm good.
I can keep going for as long as you want to.
All right, man. All right, let's do it.
Let's stick to the plan.
Let's do some.
What has not trusting and sticking the plan ever gotten to you? Gotten you?
We're still not doing. We're still not doing what else? Fuck 'em.
That's fine.
I think we can do. So we can briefly cover the Skaven. I'm not skating over them because I hate Skaven. I'm skating over them because they are very one-dimensional. The Skaven were essentially a race that was created from a horrific thing, and that is a city in not Spain, where chaos starts corrupting the city to the point where it starts mutating the rats, and they become more and more organized and more large, until they just eat everybody. And that city becomes Skaven Blight. It sinks into the ground and becomes this apocalyptically dark, messy, stinking swamp where these rat men essentially burrow all over the world. There are so many of them that nearly every single city in the world has an undercity beneath it of some size that has Skaven in it, scurrying around, messing everybody's shit up. The Skaven are so treacherous that the only thing stopping them from easily taking over the world is each other. Because they just keep backstabbing each other. They just keep going after each other. Even the Council of 13, their ruling, place, that it's constantly changing. The Great Horned Rat is their god, and he demands that they just keep climbing over each other like rats do, and killing each other. And they're not very organized, and when they are, it's fucking terrifying. Like, the world shakes whenever the Skaven get together. All of their inventions are as likely to blow up in their own faces as they are to actually create like a warp cannon that can just annihilate an entire moon, which they do in the end. They're addicted to warp stone, which is essentially one of the moons, the chaos moon of the world, sometimes sends down rocks by accident, to just pure magic in rock form, and they sniff this stuff like ground down cocaine, and it sends them crazy. All of their mages use this stuff to like power themselves up and get themselves going. They teach that any sort of corruption or manifestation of a mutation from Warpstone is a gift from the Great Horned Rat. They are basically a mixture of like Frankenstein. There are lots of different clans that do lots of different things. One of which is really cool, called Clan Eshin, and they are like assassins, literally Ratman ninjas, who just are the greatest assassins in the world because they're rats, and they're really sneaky, and so you don't know you're being killed by one until you're already dead, essentially. That's the Skaven. I'm not skipping them because I hate them. I'm skipping them because that's what they are. There's nothing else to talk about with them, unfortunately. But they are original.
So
they are original.
Not to dwell too much time if we want to move past, but it's hearing you describe the Skaven, and I've heard about the Skaven. I've seen them. I know there was some kind of like arena defense game a couple of years that was about.
Yes.
That had Skaven as the
Yes.
antagonist. The waves of zombies, but it's not zombies. It's Skaven. They sound very orc-like in that there's a million billion of them. It's bad when they organize. The only thing stopping them from devouring everything is themselves.
Yes.
However, and their technology doesn't make sense and is just as liable to blow up as not. So that's very interesting. Again, that you have, in some ways, a very similar thematic gimmick, whereas orcs are, I think they're supposed to be super big and gigantic and muscular, right? You know, roided out green guys and tiny rat men. But they have like a count. You said there's a council of 13. They have a deity.
They do. Yeah.
Is in their normal state? Is it? Because what I would come to my mind is like you have kind of like an inverse version of orcs, where the orcs are, it's fighting, barbarian martial prowess, simple as kind of a thing. With the Skaven Ratman, it's kind of like I'm envisioning like a Skeksis thing. It's like in one way it's very civilized, but it's petty, and it's like a Sith Empire if it was just a bunch of cowardly Skeksis guys.
Exactly. Like, it is exactly that. The main difference between the orcs and the Skaven is that the Skaven will run away from a fight most of the time. The orcs will actively go across a continent to go to the fight. That's just what they are. So, like, the orcs aren't brave. They're just like, we'll get to them in a sec. But, like, the Skaven are a terrifying... I mean, look at what the dwarves did. The dwarves took down Atlantis, right? And gods. The Skaven killed off most of the Dwarven Empire. Like, the orcs too, but it's mostly Skaven who did that.
Yeah.
The Thrograki, as they're called in the Dwarven tongue. There are more grudges against the Skaven. In fact, when I think it's Thorgrim Grudgebearer, or is it Belagorian Hammer? Anyway, one of them kills a Skaven leader by the name of, I think it's Queek Headtaker, and as he's beating him to death, he's just listing all of the grudges as he's beating him to death. And just says, strike that one out and that one, and he's breaking his bones one by one with his hammer. Just like really slowly, on the battlefield, I've got all the time in the world.
You gotta do it.
Yeah. And so the dwarves and the Skaven, more than the orcs and the dwarves hate each other, but the Skaven and dwarves absolutely detest one another. They are the two big, like, fuck you. Like, they
that would be the main, or like the biggest enmity between.
Yes.
Other than maybe the civilized people against chaos or something.
Yes, I would say. I mean, orcs as well, because the orcs do a lot of shit to the dwarves as well. But, like, mainly, again, the dwarves look at orcs as like fire. They're just stupid. They're just doing what they do.
Yeah.
The Skaven went out of their way to do it and, like, actually try and wipe out the dwarves. The orcs don't want to wipe out the dwarves because they're good at fighting. You know what I mean? So the orcs just want to fight. They don't want to kill you all. They want to farm you for good fights. Whereas the Skaven actually want to kill you in the worst way possible. Like, they will go after your women and children and string them up in front of you just to get you to come to them. That kind of a thing. The dwarves hate the Skaven.
Do the Skaven have any of those lost dwarven holds?
Yes, they have one or two. In fact, I think until Belagorian Hammer took back the top precincts of it, they held Karakate Peaks. I think then the goblins came and took off of them, and then the dwarves came back and started taking it back from the goblins at one stage.
Interesting.
But the Carrack 8 Peaks is one of those where like one army runs in, we take it now, and then we take it, and then we take it. It's like one of them where it's just this huge hold that everybody wants. But talking about orcs, because I love talking about orcs.
Of course.
And we have Slayers here as well, of course. We have Slayers on this piece of artwork, because why wouldn't we? Because Slayers are the best thing ever. We don't know the origins of orcs. Some people say they are fungi, literally spores.
I've heard this as like a meme that might not be a meme. Oh, this is a cool piece of artwork. This is like I like that.
Well, Warhammer's full of these, and you can see the dwarf helicopters in the background doing their bits. But Warhammer's absolutely full of these pieces of artwork. This is actually, I would call it an average piece of Warhammer artwork. Some of it is absolutely phenomenal.
I love the architecture and the mountains in the background.
Yes. So the dwarves are. I want to talk about dwarves again. What am I doing?
I mean, you're not going to get any complaints from me.
So the orcs, we don't know their true origins. Some people say they're created by the Old Ones as a weapon. Some people say they're fungi that got out of hand. We don't know, right? It's one of those things. It's not really important. It's one of those situations where who cares?
What would it matter one way or another?
What would it matter? The orcs don't care. Why should you?
Right.
The orcs love fighting, and I think that's like saying like Hitler was kind of a bad person. Like the orcs absolutely adore getting into a scrap. Doesn't matter win, lose, or draw. Yeah. They just want to fight. They just want to get in there. They want to fight. They have been at loggerheads with men and dwarves for as long as time can be. The Battle of Blackfire Pass was fought between the huge orc Wa. Now a Wa it's spelled capital W A A A G H exclamation mark. Sorry.
Okay.
Even when other people are saying it, that's how it's spelled, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you read about it in a Warhammer book, that's how it's spelled, and the next letter after the exclamation point is a smaller letter because it's just a word, right? That's the word. If the in joke is so in that it's even in novels, if you read it, the war, it's just them shouting the word war in their own way.
Yeah, they all have like Cockney accents, right?
Yeah, they're basically Cockney hooligans, yes. The football hooligan.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, the original orcs were based on Millwall fans and people like that who would just go to the match and just do chants and shit and beat each other up. There was actually one of the original models that was made, sculpted back in the day, is an orc with what's called a Millwall brick, which is essentially a newspaper with some coins in it rolled up and then pissed on, so it's really hard, and then they just whack people over the head with it when they're fighting. So that's where we are with the orcs. Obviously, they get more sophisticated as time goes on, but generally, the bigger, badder orcs attract more orcs to them, and they reach a critical mass, and they form a great war. And then the
like a locust swarm.
Exactly. The big orc chart says, we're charging that way, we're going to go get a fight over there. And all the orcs go and fight. And that works until the main orc dies, and then the orcs turn on each other to try and decide who's going to be leading the orcs now. And that's how you defeat a war. Speaking of big bad orcs, let's talk about Grimgor Ironhide, the biggest, baddest orc in anything ever, and I include Tolkien in that. This guy is a black orc, not as controversial as you may think, because this is a more innocent time when this was written. He's an orc who was created by the Chaos Dwarves, all the Black Orcs were, as a more intelligent Uruk-hai-style orc.
Yeah, I was going to say Uruk-hai, yeah.
Yes.
Alright.
And Grimgor was the most intelligent and most fighty, killy of these orcs, and he basically led them in a great uprising that essentially broke the back of the Chaos Dwarves. The reason why we don't see them in the old world is because Grimgor did such a good job of just annihilating them that we saw what the Chaos Dwarves are capable of before. This guy beat them up, right? So,
damn.
He's essentially nigh on unkillable. There's a character called Archeon the Everchosen who is essentially the Antichrist. Grimgor just boots him straight in the balls.
Okay.
I'm not. That's not
Based.
a euphemism. That's literally just like. And basically what happens is that the Archaon's bearing down on the old world. This is for the Storm of Chaos campaign before the end times. The first time Archaon tries it, he comes down, and the Empire's getting battered, and the Orcs turn up to have a good fight with Grimgor, because of course there's a big fight going on over here. Can we join in? Great. The humans basically say, "Hey Grimgor, see that big horn guy over there? Like, he called you a pussy. Said you can't fight." So
you what?
Yeah, you what? And he goes over there and he just beats the living shit out of him, and that basically stops the Storm of Chaos. And that's Orcs. That's Orcs. That is the long and short of them. That is the long and short of them. Is that they are very, very, very cool, and they're just great. Sometimes it doesn't need to be overly complicated. Sometimes you need to recognize when less is more, and you're on
simple is better. Exactly. Is it possible for them to like fall to chaos, or are they just too dumb or too single-minded?
Gods, I forgot. Gork and Mork are the two gods. One is the god of brutal cunning.
That's a great name.
Yeah, one is the god of brutal cunning, and the other is the god of cunning brutality. And they basically are always fighting. Those two gods are always beating each other over the head. And whenever an orc warband goes to war with another orc warband, it's called a festival. It's called a Gork and Morka, where they all get together and beat the living shit out of each other until one of them falls down.
Okay.
Those are their gods. And so no, they can't really fall to chaos as far as I know, as far as I'm aware. They're too stupid to fall to chaos. They are... So, I'm not sure if it works this way in fantasy. It should, because it's so cool as a bit of metafiction. But in 40k, the way the warp works is if you believe something enough, it can come true. The Orcs are so stupid and single-minded that if they believe something enough, it starts to happen. So the Orcs believe that if they paint their trucks red, they go faster, and they do.
This is like the purple thing, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There's one funny part of 40k where there's a human champion called Commissar Yarrick, who's just a normal guy, but he kills a few Orcs, and the Orcs start talking to each other about how much of a badass this guy is, and it just powers him up, because...
That's awesome.
He becomes this, like, huge dude.
This huge Chad. That's amazing.
He's still the same size. He's just beating the living shit out of all these Orcs, because they believe he can.
That's so funny.
And he has this like laser eye, and all of the Orcs believe that if he looks at you with that eye, you just explode, and it just starts happening. He just starts looking at
and they're not wrong.
Exploding.
I guess.
When he finally dies, a demon prince called Angron kills him, and the Orcs are so infuriated by this, they leave the planet they're on, Armageddon. Most of them just leave to go and hunt this guy down in vengeance.
Isn't Angron like a big lore character?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. But when the Orcs catch up to this motherfucker, he's done. He's gone, because they're just gonna
so fucking funny.
Dogpile him, and they'll tear him limb from limb. Like Gazgul is so distraught when his great enemy dies, and he's like, "How dare you take my toy away from me? I'm gonna absolutely." Yeah. And that's
so funny.
I'm not sure if that's how it works in fantasy. I really want to say it is exactly.
Why
how
wouldn't
it works.
it?
Why?
I can't think of a better answer. Like,
it's the rule of cool.
What would be more fun and fitting?
Speaking
it would be
Oh, I've got the map for you. There you go. Here's the old
map.
world. Yeah, here's the actual old world, all of it. So you can see.
You mentioned goblins. Are goblins like a subspecies of orc?
Yes.
Or...
So collectively, they're all known as the greenskins. The orcs are just the largest version of greenskin, essentially.
So if a goblin like kills enough, does it become an orc, or is a goblin always a goblin and an orc is always an orc?
No. Okay. So there's a guy called Grom the Paunch, and you may want to know about the size of his girth. It is very large. Hence,
I would imagine so. If you're naming yourself with.
Yes, this guy ate ogre meat by accident, and essentially became just a larger version of a goblin. United a load of goblin tribes, and now he's like the warlord of all these goblin tribes, and loads of orcs follow him as well. So yeah, it can happen. Where Skarsnik as well is obviously another an actual night goblin, which lots of orcs follow because he's very killy and very sneaky, and he can get things done. One thing I need to talk about before we go anywhere else is actually the ogres, because I nearly forgot them, and I sorry ogres, I love you so much.
So the ogres would be a different type of creature than a green skin.
Very different. Very, very different. The ogres are essentially, I don't want to call them Mongolians, because that's kind of not right and also kind of offensive, but they do have the same moustaches, so I'm going to call them Mongolians. And they're in the same part of the world. The ogres are essentially, they were created by the old ones to be very chaos
Okay, so these have also been around for a long time.
A long time,
with the elves and the dwarves and the... Okay.
There used to be sky giants in this world, but the ogres sort of ate them.
Nice.
Because that's just what they do. They were created to be very chaos resistant, but the issue was the old ones died before they could actually finish the job of creating them. So
interesting.
We're left with the ogres as they are, which is these very brutish
prototypes.
Yeah, very large ogres, and they essentially live in these great clans in mountains that are between the Middle East and or the Far East and the Empire, and called the Mountains of Morn. And they rule over these mountains. Now, interestingly,
would this be like the dark lands on this map?
Yes. Yeah, near there. Yeah, near there.
Okay.
The Mountains of Morn are around there somewhere. I think they're just to the right of that. Actually, those mountains there, to the right of the
Got it. Okay.
Now, the ogres, interestingly, they don't mind working with you. They're actually they will let you pass through their lands unharmed, as long as you feed them.
Okay.
If you feed them or pay them, they're like, yeah, in you come, no problem. Off you go.
Hell yeah, look at these guys.
The ogres will literally fight for you if you pay them. And it's not a lot. You could pay an ogre a cow a day, and a bunch of ogres will go, and they'll come and fight for you.
Okay.
So they will. The ogres are intelligent enough to know which way their bread is buttered. An orc clan, well, not an orc clan, an orc group will come in and annihilate a village, right? The ogres don't do that. The ogres will come to the village and go, "Oi, we saw a load of orcs over there, right? You keep feeding us, and we'll make sure you don't get eaten by us. But if you keep feeding us, we'll make sure you don't get eaten."
Yeah.
And they will farm you. The ogres don't farm the land; they farm people, civilizations.
Yeah.
They're extortionists. They come over and they go, "Yeah, we won't kill you." No, we didn't say that. No. We'll stop those guys from killing you, and they will. By the way, they do stick to their word.
They seem pretty civilized, all things considered.
They will. The problem is if you stop paying them.
Like the mob, yeah.
That's when the issue comes around, when they just go, "Oh, I'll eat you then." It's one of those things.
Right.
The best written faction, the dwarves are my favourite, right? But the best written faction is the ogres, because every single part of their society is beautiful. It fits in together so neatly and so nicely. So the ogres' religion, they follow something called the Great Maw. And the Great Maw is this alien thing that crashed into the world, and is essentially like a sarlacc pit with like loads of like gnashing teeth in it.
Okay.
Which is basically like 3 miles wide. And they just chuck stuff in, and it belches stuff out, and it gives them magical powers. It literally just bestows upon them its own power. And they do something called gut magic. They don't cast spells. Gut magic is literally an ogre going dead hard, and then something happens, like somebody explodes. It comes from the gut. It comes from down there, right? They believe their souls are in their stomachs, and so they only wear armor around their stomachs because they believe to be disemboweled.
The only thing that matters, yeah.
Yeah, they believe to be disemboweled is to lose your soul. That's the worst thing that can happen to an ogre. And they will eat anything. They will eat metal, they will eat wood, they will eat people, they will eat bone, whatever it is, they will eat it. They love cold climates, they ride mammoths and stonehorns and saber tusks and all these other things. And generally, they are, apart from that, they're quite reasonable. If you treat with them, and you keep treating with them, they will leave you alone or fight for you even. If you don't, avoid the mountains.
There may be consequences. Yes. And by May, there will be consequences.
Those are the ogres. I've done a few videos on them because I love them that much. They're just so well written, and their main leader. The main leaders are called tyrants. And
nice.
Their main...
They just seem like free market, enterprising individuals.
Oh,
like they seem like actually some of the best people. They're not trying to impose anything on you. They're warning you about the orcs. All we ask for is a cow, some goats, whatever a day. We'll protect you. It's just an easy, equitable exchange.
Exactly. The main guy is the over tyrant. He's called Greasus Goldtooth, and he is so large he can't walk. Essentially, he rides around on this mobility scooter, and he fights on it as well. He just swings around his bejeweled scepter and hits people with it. And he's a reasonable guy. He literally just you pay him, he'll fight. He'll send his boys to fight for you. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
His epithet is the shockingly obese, and he absolutely revels in that.
That picture does not look shockingly obese. I would want him to be.
He is very slim there. In the game, he is a lot larger than that. He cannot move. He is ridiculously large. His intro
how tall are the ogres?
Very 9 to 10 feet tall.
Okay. And an orc would be like what? Are they man size or are they like
orcs are man sized or just above? Just above.
Okay.
A Grimgore is so an ogre, an orc will grow as long as he keeps fighting. So Grimgore is huge. Grimgore is the size of an ogre, if not larger. And the war bosses are very large, but the normal orcs are about 6 foot to 6'5". Beatable, basically beatable. Ogres are so big in the actual tabletop game and in the video game. They have something called impact damage. So when they charge into you, they just do extra damage just by being there.
Yeah, knock you back and
They just you see bodies flying everywhere, and they can just pick you up and eat you. And they've got giants that follow them around and things. And they are special.
I think I like these guys more than the orcs because they seem less single-minded, which means there's more personality there. I don't want to cast aspersions on the orcs, but I think you'll see where I'm coming from.
Yes.
And they seem like good dudes. If you want like a simple as kind of character, but you can also get a lot of depth out of it.
I think Krasno put it well. He says in the chat, he said, "You give payment, or you are the payment."
You are the payment. Yeah.
Indeed.
Hell yeah! I would love to play an ogre mercenary, an ogre sellsword.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, there is a character called Golgfag Maneater, right? And he it's an ironic name. He doesn't eat very many men. He works for them. He's a merc. He's a mercenary. And him and his boys go around the Empire solving problems. That's what they do. They get They get loads of money. There is actually a really cool a story about a village that's getting attacked by a Lord of Chaos, who's basically killed a bunch of Goldfag's boys, and Goldfag wakes up and he's been taken back to this village and fed and brought back, and he's delirious because he's infected and things like that. He comes back and he takes the lay of the land, and he goes, right, next one's free of charge. And they're like, what's that? And the Chaos Lord comes up to town, and he just walks up to him and just beats him so badly and starts eating him in front of the Chaos Warriors. And the Chaos Warriors just fuck off. Just leave. It's okay. We're not doing this. And that's it. And that's the entire story.
Man.
So that
I'm sold.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how could you not be? It is. I love them so much. I love my ogres. Speaking of chaos, though, it is time to look at the heavy metal cover as our climax of the evening.
Perfect.
And we have the chaos, the warriors of chaos. These are the bad guys. We're going to look at any bad guys. And I think we've been devoid of bad guys. I mean, Nagash is bad, but you can still treat with him. And he wants something, you know? The warriors of chaos just want to please the gods. They want to please the gods. That's it. They want to do nothing else. They are from the north.
That's so
mostly.
fucking cool.
Yeah, they're from the north mostly. Essentially Scandinavia. They are demon worshipping Vikings who want to achieve demonhood. They want to kill so many people in the name of their gods and erect so many temples in the name of their gods. They're elevated to demonhood and they gain immortality. And a few of them do. This guy's called Asavar Kul. He took down a massive city called Prague, which is named after the real life Prague, but Praag in this setting.
Okay.
And he was also elevated to demonhood after that fact as well, as far as I'm aware. But they can devote themselves to one of the 4 Chaos Gods, or Chaos Undivided, which is all 4. You can do that without really any repercussions. They are essentially huge dudes in huge armor coming at you. There is no subtlety to the Warriors of Chaos. They don't have ranged units, to be honest. They just come at you in a mailed fist. Chaos Knights are terrifying. They ride horses that are the size of tanks. Yeah, they just come streaming right at you.
I mean, you definitely don't want. This is anti-subtlety.
Yes.
Right. But that's what you want. That's what.
Absolutely.
That's what it demands. For it to be subtle would be kind of perverse.
If you want to see the size difference of what a Chaos Warrior is like compared to normal dudes, I put one on the screen. It'll be up on yours in a minute. But obviously you've got a Chaos Lord there on his steed, and the normal dudes beneath him. Now, when you look at the normal dudes on the size of them, if he gets off that horse, he's going to be his neck will be way above the top of the head of the normal dude. These guys are a menace to the world at large. They are human ingenuity and determination turned dark purpose, is what they are. They're the very top of their lands in Norska are the Chaos Wastelands, and one of those, taking us full circle, one of those collapsed realm gates that was from before is there.
Oh, right.
And it leads directly to the Realm of Chaos. If you walk that far up and you go in, you are in the Realm of Chaos. You are there. The closer you get
Does it go to one of the Chaos Gods realms in particular, or just Chaos?
Depends on who you are. So,
Got it.
The closer you get to it, the more fucked up things you'll see, essentially. Your reality will start breaking down way before you get to the actual gate itself, to the Realm of Chaos. And once you're in, you could be anywhere. It's mental.
Yeah.
We don't know. One of the gods might have called you there, and you don't even know, and you just end up walking up there. If the gods bestow too many gifts upon you, you can degenerate into what's called a Chaos Spawn, which is just a mashup of limbs and mouths and things.
It's the Shoggoth.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Whereas, you will be given gift after gift after gift. All the gifts you can take, as long as you can take them. And then...
Interesting.
The greatest of them will then become demon princes. Will then become guys who've been elevated. There's another one here. You can actually see the better one for the size difference of a Chaos Warrior and a normal Norscan. So a Chaos Warrior is on the right, and the Chaos Warrior has a normal man on his shield as a decoration. Like that is what that is. It is a. He's just striding through blokes as if they're not there. They don't naturally...
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, they don't naturally grow this big. It is the dark powers of chaos that use their muscles to grow bigger. They get larger.
Roids them out.
Yeah, roids them out, exactly, yeah. And that is the chaos, the warriors of chaos. They do end the world eventually under a guy called Archeon the Everchosen. He does get kicked in the balls.
This is the guy who got his balls kicked by... Okay. He survived that.
He survived that, yes. He is the exalted marshal of the apocalypse. He is not to be trifled with. Essentially, the leader of all chaos warbands in the end times. This is the guy. He is a former Empire general. Actually, he's a former Empire soldier. Who turns the chaos. He finds out.
I mean, that's a great. If you're gonna give, if this is the main villain, that's good to have him have some kind of connection.
Well, he finds out he's a child of rape, unfortunately, which is quite a dark story for Warhammer. He finds out that his mother He thought he was a priest of Sigmar. He finds out his mother was actually abused in a raid by Norscan raiders. And he thinks, well, a great response to that is to just lead them all. I'm going to go up north. I'm going to hit them so hard that they're going to follow me.
They have to follow me. Yeah.
And he did. And he does.
I guess he did what he set out to do.
Exactly. I mean,
now, are there different like fiefdoms in the north?
Yes.
That are nominally, because I'm thinking about the different trader legions, right? And I know like, is it the Emperor's something? Is the Emperor's children are
in the 40k?
Slaanesh in 40k?
Yeah,
it's like you have different like factions that are, one is Khorne, one is Nurgle, one is.
So in Warhammer, no. So generally, there are two parts that answers that question. In the Chaos Waste, there are different fiefdoms, yes, for different tribes of Norscans around the place. And one of them could be dedicated to Khorne, one of them could be dedicated to Nurgle. It depends. We're never really given a straight answer of where people are where, because it's that chaotic up there, it's always changing. No one really knows. There's no real army of, like, these Chaos Warriors follow this, and they're in the lore as this, and that's it. You just make them up yourself. That's what it's all there for. Your Chaos
I kind of
Warriors
like that.
Your Chaos Warriors can be whatever you want them to be. You know, the best armies out there I've seen of Chaos Warriors are ones that mix and match everything together under one.
That was going to be my next question. Is that something that would make sense in the lore? You would have an army of like Nurgle and Tzeentch.
It would be absolutely. I mean, that's what Archaon does. That's why he's the Everchosen.
Okay.
Like, he collects all the Chaos artifacts and he becomes the leader. But anybody can do that. Like Asavar Kul did that. Most other Chaos Warlords will attempt to do that. Or you'll get people like Arabal the Undefeated, who is just a raging, angry Khorne dude who only has Khorne people following around, you know, that kind of stuff. You have your demons, so demons do wander around up here, and they are... The further in you get, the more prevalent they become. Or they can just spawn. Like, if there is enough of a breakdown in reality, loads of magic going around, a greater demon can spawn, and then he will lead his own demonic host onto the battlefield to essentially, you know, do his thing, essentially.
Yeah.
So, one of my favorite characters is Baelacor, who is he is a demon. He was the first ever demon of chaos, and he just became very, very, very arrogant. His actual model is probably the greatest model Games Workshop have ever made, in my opinion. In fact, in terms of his artwork, I can just show you the model, and you can see how cool he is. His curse is that he has to basically crown all of the Everchosen. Like anybody who's becomes Everchosen, Baelacor has to go and crown them because he wanted that crown for himself. And because he tried to take over from the Chaos Gods, they make him go and crown the other ones, essentially.
Nice. As a
sucks to be him.
A shame, a humiliation ritual, you might say.
Yes, but he's always screwing with their plans. He's always trying to like get one up on the Chaos Gods, which I just love him for. He's just so funny. He just keeps screwing things up. And that's Baelacor. And he's the quintessential Chaos Demon. Like the greatest Chaos Demons look something like this. The greatest Demon Princes look something like this. He's just like I want and need this model. I will get it one day. I can't put him in any army that I have because I don't collect demons, but he just looks amazing.
That's badass.
Yeah, he is ridiculously cool. And
wreathing the wreath, like the chains and the skulls being wreathed on the wings. That's a cool touch.
Well, I think it's in the lore somewhere that those are the fallen Everchosen. So the Everchosen are fallen before Archaon.
Oh.
He turns up to claim their skulls at the end. Yeah. So
if you're not worthy enough of taking the mantle.
There should be 12 of them on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
1, 2, 3, 4.
10, 11. Yep, there are 12 on there. So it is those are the 12 before Archaon who failed in taking over the world. Essentially.
That's awesome.
That he's come and. Yeah, so basically, like the Chaos Gods don't care for them anymore. So that's when Baelacor can come in and just like take their heads for themselves.
Yeah.
A little petty spite.
That's awesome.
Archaon, unfortunately, but that is essentially, aside from like Bretonia, who are essentially medieval France, Arthurian legends, the faction.
Okay.
And
all right.
they worship somebody called the Lady of the Lake, who is basically an elven goddess in all but name, and she is confirmed later on to just be an elven goddess disguising herself as like the Lady of the Lake, and they just drink her water and it gives them power.
That bitch.
Yeah. And the wood elves, who are essentially crazed forest spirits, who are also elves, protecting with ents following them around.
Yeah.
Things. You know,
elves but homeless.
That's the reason why I chose to like drop those two, because whilst they are interesting, you can, like the Skaven, you can describe them very quickly and not really need to dive into much else. The one cool thing about Bretonia is it's enforced feudalism. So
okay,
the rest of the world is kind of moving on, and the Bretonians have like a knightly order. They don't use technology. They use trebuchets still, things like that.
Okay,
and they keep the peasants.
While there's helicopters in the
yeah, exactly. Yeah. so
man.
So you've got like steam tanks coming over the hill, you know, and shit like that, and they're flinging peasants out of trebuchets at them, you know, and that kind of thing. So I
kind of respect it. I gotta respect the.
Yeah. They keep them in ignorance. They're not, the peasants in Bretonia are protected by their feudal overlords, but they're not allowed to read. They're not allowed to leave.
Based.
Yeah, they're not allowed to ride horses. They're just like, no. You stay as you are.
That's fucking funny. Holy shit!
Like they are literally. That's the most interesting part of Bretonia, I think, is like they are very French, but also like weirdly evil, weirdly backwards. But like, you know, and that's awesome. That's essentially the old world, man. That's essentially it. I think we've basically covered.
I'm fucking sold, man. I am going. So, at some point in 2026, I'm gonna run a game.
Hell yeah.
And if you're down, you got a spot. Now, what is the consensus? Or fuck the consensus. What is your opinion of the best edition? Because I know there's multiple editions of the tabletop game.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what the?
I would say.
I feel like the latest edition of anything and everything is dog shit.
Yeah, it is. So it was so dog shit that a bunch of dudes created their own version called Zweihander. And it's literally called the Grim Imperialist RPG. It's literally the same game, but just like with all the.
It's a huge book.
It is huge. It is complicated as a game system. I actually think any D100 system would be a better shout. Pendragon would be a really good shout, actually.
Okay.
For a system that could easily fit into the old world. Mithras would also actually really fit, but if we're already playing Mithras, people may want to change it up. So maybe stay away from D100. But Pendragon's probably the closest fit, but then you'd have to work in firearms somehow. Which are not Arthurian.
Yeah. Well, BRP would have firearms rules.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of compatibility between Pendragon specifically, RuneQuest specifically, and BRP more broadly.
Krasno says Warhammer 2nd edition RPG. That's a good shout.
Second edition.
It is a very good edition.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Any flip has the rules for free. Okay, cool. So they are free online as well. Okay, that's good.
Oh, well.
That's awesome.
That makes it pretty easy.
Well, it's easy to do research, put it that way. I mean, I am definitely up for it in 2026, though. Yeah, I will absolutely be down for doing that. Or running it, playing in it, whatever you want me to do, I will.
Hey, because, I would love to do that too. I'm sure you run a badass game, so we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it.
Absolutely. Is there any other questions you have about the old world before we at least let people go? We can have a little chat before we go.
Yeah. There's no group that did not sound cool. There's no group. You are completely right. There's no group that seemed cringe. I can see how someone would ruin every single one. You know, I can see the path of least resistance for all of them.
Yes.
And I'm sure that's exactly what's happening. But it sounds fucking badass, man. I knew I was interested. It makes me want to explore the tabletop all the more, explore the lore more. It makes me want to play the video game.
Yes.
Because I'm sure there's some lore that you can pick up as well. It's not just the lore. I am interested in. I do like those Total War games, but.
Well, the lore is in the games. I would actually say YouTube is your best friend for lore. Like, if you're looking to drill down into a faction, YouTube is great for that. There are lots of good people. Arch Warhammer back in the day did some really good stuff on the old world. There are a bunch of people like the Book of Koifa or something like that it's called, I think it is. Anyway, there are tons of things online you can look for on YouTube.
Someone was telling us we had our Christmas live stream yesterday. Someone asked us a question about there's some war game. I wish I could remember the name. There's some like OG wargaming chick who does like something in a log cabin up in Utah.
She does really good battle reports. Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm struggling to chat. Help us out. Lorehammer.
I never heard of this this chick, but I might.
Says check out Lorehammer. Yes, he is that is very
Lorehammer.
Good.
Okay.
Very good channel. There are certain lore YouTubers that use to make the gameplay of Warhammer 3 as well, which is like awesome when they use it. This happened, and then there's like there are actual. I'll send it to you after the stream, but there's actual like videos of cinematic battles of tens of thousands of units just crashing against each other and showing you battles from the old world. But it is a genuinely Christmassy thing for me to talk about because it just feels like it's right in there.
It does feel cozy. You know what I mean?
Which
is sort of what you said at the. I totally get it with the pictures and hearing you talk about and describe the different regions, factions, the history. It all sounds good. And you know what I think would be very fun to do next time we talk on camera is sort of one of two things, whichever one seems the most fun. You've regaled me. You've shared your wisdom and your knowledge about a world, a setting, a game that I don't know much about but was interested in. If we can find a reverse situation or something that we both know about and we can just have a rant about or have a boys' conversation and set some things straight.
I'd actually say a good shout would be Vampire, you know, because I most of my
Vampire would be great.
Most of my knowledge of Vampire is like surface to like nearly mid-level in certain things I just find cool, and the rest of it I just went, okay, I'm gonna play. Like, I'm literally just going to play Ventrue anyway, so I don't care. Anything else can just fuck off. Which is a very Ventrue thing to think and say.
Yeah, it's a very, I mean,
You know, I mean...
You're fitting into the mold.
Why would you want to be any
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. That would be fun as hell.
Okay, cool. We'll set that up.
Yeah.
We'll set
that up.
Well, we'll let the people go, because they've been here very patiently for all of this time. So, thank you for watching the stream, folks. And check out... I know we're only like 3 hours in to the video, but check out Black Lodge Games. They're over there. They're doing really cool stuff, really cool games, which I'm going to be playing one pretty soon, which is going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah, man.
But go and check them out. Go and support indie, smaller people who are writing role-playing games and war games, any tabletop. We need to start getting away from these centralized companies who seem to just own the zeitgeist. You need to get away from Wizards, get away from Games Workshop. We need to be, if you want it. And also, make it yourself. Like, go and support these other people, but make it yourself. Do your own thing. Like, with blackjack and hookers. Like, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And sign up for the man's Patreon and get a copy of the Exiled verse.
Exactly, yeah. Well, it's for free. You don't need to, it's for free. You do need
but
to
sign up for that Patreon, though.
Yeah. All right, dudes. We'll see you later.
Take care, everybody.